You know, you mean in your Twitch list?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the last one you probably looked at, and it goes from ones you haven't looked at when it lists new videos in that follow channels list. That's probably why. Yeah, it's weird.
Okay, so that is 7 comments in the first half hour after I've published.
Am I live? I don't know if I'm live or not.
Oh, I have to log into chat, so.
I can't seem to. It says you're okay. It says you're live now.
All right, maybe it just was delayed.
Okay.
There it goes. There it
It's
goes.
just
That
delayed.
was a
Okay.
severe delay. That was real. That was a huge delay.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to kill video here because it was kind of, it was screwy. The video was screwy.
Alright. Let's see what we got here. Hey, XL Coma, can you guys hear us? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Video's taking forever.
It's a little
Yeah,
slow. Good.
I had some issues with the video too, so I killed
Yeah.
off the video. So I usually do that. I pop out the chat, so that way the video will not take bandwidth.
That looks good.
Because we have it on Zoom anyway, so yeah.
I got a new shout out. Like I put a shout out in for Warren there. He's trying to get to 1,000 subs, which are followers on YouTube. So I did that. Greatly. Let's see if we can get him there. Oh, we got him there.
Yeah, we do stuff. So,
We're nice and early, so we're in good shape here. Do some final test here. He said sounds good. Right? Sound is good. That's good to hear. Not too low, not too high out there, everyone. Whew. Hot week, man. It's been so hot here. Dale, do you have those rainstorms come through where you got 10 inches of rain, or is that just from up the coast?
We had a lot of rain, but I don't think it was torrential downpours. We
Yeah, we
did have
got
thunderstorms.
A couple areas in PA got slammed.
we don't have any rains here, but
Yeah, it doesn't rain
yeah,
there
we're
at
not
all.
supposed to have rains. So only occasionally. We had some last year. Maybe we had a few this year too, but not that many.
All Gamescape on the table tomorrow night, as you all probably know.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, stuff's awesome. He's such a good guy too. He came on when he came on the show. I mean, he's a one man show.
Yeah.
Gamescape. He does it all. It's great. Yeah, I got my coffee. You got my drink. Oof, Let's hit this button now. So, lots going on, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on this
Lots
week.
going on.
I even had to cancel my game on Sunday because there's so much going on.
Really?
Yeah, I had to cancel the session.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
it's yeah, but we can hopefully play next Sunday.
Got a big
Yeah, there's so
round
many
table
things.
Sunday night, right?
Yeah, I would say you 25% responsible for it. Then
Only
there's Emily
25.
yeah, that is. I have a deadline on Monday, and
Oh, okay.
then there's family and stuff.
I can live with 25. You said
Oh yeah,
75.
yeah. So you
me, then
because
I'd
you
be
had
a little upset.
you had streams like I'm involved in almost every other day of the week. So you're a little bit guilty to blame, but that's a lot of fun. So
Play with Venerian Ford again.
exactly.
And the
Yes.
son of Melf. And two other characters I have no idea how James and Jason are going to do.
Oh, that would be it would be a blast.
And Tim playing a character that's just a bust on, I'm sorry, Chuck playing Tim the Enchanter, a true bust on the Ever Mysterious Tim, if I ever saw one.
Yep.
So, definitely some fun things. Whew. 10 minutes. I'm gonna play this. We're gonna play the new Everyone Venture Building Authority as a Kickstarter. You wanna check? There comes Blue Box in.
I was over on their stream. They were talking about magic users.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What's up?
I think the magic users.
Hitting up the Venture Building Authority Kickstarter, which is live now. John, have you signed up yet? Have you done it yet? It's going to be a really cool one. Lomas, a discussion for another night, right? Because, hey, what's up? What's up, Evelyn? I'd say my elementalists are pretty cool. Shadow mages, and there's all sorts of cool things. Different spellcasters and bards, and illusionists and jesters, and all sorts of cool things. Let me see, where's the MBA? So check out the MBA, Venture Building Authority Kickstarter. It's going on now through this month. And see what's going on there. And Patrick, thank you for that resub. You hit the year, man. My gosh, it's been that long. Unbelievable. Said if you haven't followed John at Blue Box Europe, please do. We're gonna have some fun coming up on. Whoops, I missed my cue there, like I always do. We're gonna have some fun coming up on Saturday. I think it's gonna be a fantastic fundraiser. It's all through Tiltify. Tiltify link, by the way, is in that chat I just listed. Plus, it's down if you click on the little banner next to the Now Live screen. Click right on that banner; it'll take you right to the Tiltify screen as well. So, like I said, it's a joint pool for everyone. I think we have $20 already, so we just before we even started. So, I set the goal of $4,000. So hopefully we can blow that away. So, we shall see. Good evening, everyone. Hey, topic. I need a lot of assistance tonight, so we brought in the hired guns tonight. Hey, Tim. So many Tims. Here is the ever distant next cheer badge that no one has. They're flaunted the Dark Brotherhood badge. Heraldry.
Nice.
And only Patrick has 4 pages. That one. I know. I'm awful. Tonight, the Great Kingdom.
Great Kingdom.
Oh my gosh, I have time to discuss the Fiend Folio. I didn't change that from last week. See? I messed something up. I'm going to change it right now. On the fly live. Kingdom. That could work. Yeah, well, Gary, that could work now, right? Absolutely. Let me get this set here because I'm going to have to go to. So tonight, well, someone just said Team Ashur. Killhorn? Who's that there, Dale?
I don't know.
You don't know who that is?
No. Could be one of my EverQuest rating buddies.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's someone who just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the cow.
See, you're the one who
Ah,
has a
okay.
fan club in here. You have
That is
fans
awesome.
Showing up in chat. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right, here we come live. We're 5 minutes early tonight, everyone. Understand that? 5 minutes early, but who cares, right? So let's get this thing rolling. The Blue Box came in and was kind enough to grade us. So let's get this discussion going instead of sitting around for 5 minutes. And you know, we can always scroll back to something that we need to discuss. I think music just ends. Boom. Good evening, everyone. I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba, and thank you for coming tonight as I start 5 straight nights of streams. Starting with tonight. So let's get this busy week and this fun week on the road here. Thank you all for coming. I got the great Anna Meyer with me,
Hello.
along with the wonderful Greyhawk Mike Bridges, and our special guest, who I once said his name was Ass Hurt the Bear, but you know that was wrong. When he won something at GaryCon a year and a half ago. Yes.
Yep.
Asher the Bear, Dale. Gwil? Did I pronounce that right? Gwil?
Will. Pretend they use a W and you'll nail it.
Gwil. Jill. Okay, there you go. Gwil.
Yeah, Jay's the one who forced me to mix case my title because I was like, okay, I could see Ass Hurt the Bear.
Oh, awesome. Dale, welcome. And
Glad to
welcome
be here.
back, because I know we had you for a special on Invid the Undying, and that was in
Yep.
the 60s, so that was a long time ago. It was almost 9 months ago. And thank you for coming here, and you know, I'm looking forward to this discussion. We got a lot of thank you all for the subs that happened while we were on the other screens that didn't pop up. Mr. Beast Gaming, Mikas, Breezy, and I got one here. And Martine Olgar, thank you so very much. Oh, there goes Mikas. It just popped up. So, Gary was kind enough to lend a hand in this behind the scenes. He gave us some maps. So I don't even know where to begin on this. So why don't we start at the beginning, Dale? What do you think, Mike and Anna? The very, very beginning of when we got
Absolutely.
pre-invoked devastation, right? This is pre, actually, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So
It is?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and of course,
Oh, there.
Oh,
Oh, that's
you know, I was about to say,
Goguru,
watch,
thank you for the
watch
sub.
your back, Asher, or Emrakul the Chaotic will shoot
yeah,
you
that's
back.
my familiar.
But
I thought I'd drawn
Blink
a
dog, apparently.
yeah. I thought I had she phases in and out, so I think she'll phase away there. So yeah, the story of the Great Kingdom is one of many stories of Iridian hope and ambition. It's the dream of the Erdi, and they dreamed large, and they had a kingdom that lasted for over half a millennium. And if you're playing in classic mode, it's still going.
Yeah, you can save it. You can. Yeah, mhm.
But if you advance with all of the canon timelines, it has passed into its final components. So again, the Great Kingdom really began in the Greyhawk lore, in our lore, with the old school supplement. But there wasn't really a lot about the Great Kingdom back then. I mean, if in the Greyhawk supplement, it was originally just part of the map that the gamers of Gary's Miniatures Club used, and that's what grew into his Greyhawk map. But if we look deeper into it, when we start looking at the the box set, the Gazetteer. In the Gazetteer, the Great Kingdom was all of half of one column. So for the largest kingdom in the land, it was all of half of column, and it said that had too great of a history to dwell on here. It's like, really? That's all we get?
Yeah.
And when we go to the gold box, we got a whole column, I think.
Ooh.
If you break it up between the two, we go from here all the way to here. So still not a lot for the Great Kingdom, but we're already seeing piecemeal of it. And then of course, this wonderful book, which
Yep.
is phasing in and out also.
Yeah.
And then of course, kind of the gold standard for Great Kingdom stuff, Ibid the Undying. But if we ignore all that and we look at how the Great Kingdom started, it began with the Iridian migrations, having once inhabited the plains of central Eoyark. The Iridians moved into all, shout out to Mike.
And let's go to a Gary map for
I
everyone.
knew there would be one.
All right. Thank you, Gary Julian, for this wonderful piece.
So we've got our Iridian migrations. So the many tribes of the Iridians moved from the central Eoyark, and they moved into some areas. They moved into the Shaldamar Valley, the Vale of Luna, and the Great Kingdom was founded by the Erdi. They kept moving until they hit the sea. The Nayron settled in the area of modern Nairon. The Keo tribe settled Keeland, and the Feroi settled in the area of Firiandi, and the Volar settled in Voluna, along other notable Erdi tribes. So this is the Erdi, or the Erdi were one of many tribes of the Iridians that pushed west, and they were the ones that kept pushing. They were a very militaristic one, and they got to the Solnor Ocean, and then they found themselves amidst many Flan realms, and they settled, I believe, the city of Rel Astra, which grew into their largest and grandest city. And they fought many battles, and they fought with Alyssa, the Flan Kingdom. They fought with the necromancers of the Trask to the north in the foothills of the Blemus. And then they eventually ended up fighting other tribes. And it was the battle of a fortnight's length that started the Great Kingdom in minus, let's see, the Great Kingdom arose in minus 10 common year.
So if we go to
So-
this great gem from Gary.
There's our battle. So we've got the
Ooh.
Nayron fighting the Erdi, which are scattered all over the place. And if you want to guess who the winners were in this time and every time, it was the Erdi.
So I don't know much about the Kingdom of Neron. Is there any detail on it?
There really isn't a lot
not-
on the Kingdom of Nayron.
Okay.
It was a competitor to the Irides.
Oh, John,
It was like
thanks,
a
man.
parallel parallel Iridian kingdom.
Yeah, it
Competing
was
for power. Yeah.
absolutely, Anna. You were right on there. It was another Erdi tribe. I'm sorry, another Iridian tribe, the Nayron, and they fought, and the Erdi won, and they declared universal peace
Yep.
because they were all sick of fighting everybody, and they established at that point the Great Kingdom, and called it year one of the common years. So we were no longer using the OR dating system, the Iridian record. We're now using the CY system, which is what we see most everything in our Greyhawk lore quoted in, unless you're like Rich and track everything in the Sewell dates.
Okay, so
Yep.
so there's an Iridian calendar here on this, and then
Yep.
because the Arity win this battle, they say, "All right, we're starting all over, and we're starting at year 1." Is that
Yes.
okay? And that's where CY comes into into play.
I think they even had it year
Okay.
0 when they're prepared, so to speak. So and then they became So that was a year 0 in common calendar, if I remember correctly.
I do remember we had that discussion, but I don't know if we ever came up with it.
Okay.
I
then,
think we,
yeah.
I think we decided it would be easiest if they had a year 0, because
Yeah, I think
then
it was,
one
that was-
actually means
yeah,
something.
I read somewhere that was 0, and then so they had to kind of gear up for a year and then have the celebration.
Harp
That was
River
also
seems
the
to
year
be-
when the Erde, or the Kingdom of Erde, actually the frontier reached Greyhawk the same year when they announced universal peace, like Pax Erde. Yeah.
So the first overking of the Great Kingdom was Nazran of the House of
Rax.
Anna.
Sorry. Yeah, from Rel Devon. Sorry, Rex.
The Crandons.
Sorry, Crandons.
The Crandons.
Dumb me. I should. I
I figured you'd know that. I didn't mean to.
Considering Anna made their here, look, there's
Yes,
a heraldry
I
shield,
know
which is
that,
all
yes.
black.
Ooh.
Yeah, Nasrin. Yeah.
What? It's
Yep.
all black?
That's
Yep.
it.
So
That's
it was the.
yeah.
Yep, they had the black color.
Why is
According
it
to.
just
It was the color was someone made
Cover me on
the
my face.
principality of Reldevon black. So therefore I simply said that the Crandons, okay, they have chosen black is their color. So yep.
So
very cool.
So Nazarene of the House of Crandon
Yep.
proclaims
guy.
universal peace,
Yep.
had defeated the Sulois and Flan, and of course the Kingdom of Nehron, and he declares it in Roxas. So Roxas is the new city that they've built up,
Yeah, they
moving
took
the
over
capital.
Yeah, it took over from the old Rel Astra became.
You see a lot of that with new empires
Yeah.
proclaiming and building a new capital
Yep.
to get away from all the junk in the old one.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. It's also centrally located in what was then the heart of the empire, so it kind of makes sense.
With Roxas midway on the coast between the north and south. So at that point, they also begin some westward expansion as well.
Yeah.
And they expand as far as, I believe, Stoink, kind of in the Bandit Kingdoms, was an outpost. We've
Yeah.
got Greyhawk as an outpost.
Mhm.
We've got
But then they conquered the
Furiondi.
north. Yeah, exactly. And even up in Perrenland and the land of Ayus and stuff, and the Bandit Kingdoms were kind of the borderlands and Pale was the borderlands, and Bone March was the borderlands. So they expanded greatly, and they took ID, Sundi, and those parts too.
So
yes.
real quick, we got a level 2 hype train. It's a $25 gift certificate to CSL Entertainment. Is Carlos is a great company. I'll add a second one because we got that high. We're going to do the original glossography reprint too, so you can read about the Great Kingdom, and it's 2 paragraphs in here. All right, sound good?
Yep.
But this is the 1980 folio. We'll do that
That
as
is
well.
an amazing one to have in print.
Yes.
I don't have
Okay.
it,
So we're
yeah.
going to do that, and then with the CSL, you could get, which is the 9, the Sea of Medigia, which is Great Kingdom base kind of, or you could get Caverick's Cove, which is Rotic, right? Or you could just get Horror in the Hools if you so choose. So there you go. All right. So
Yeah.
2 giveaways tonight. Thanks.
That's awesome. So as we said, Crandon became the ruling house. So if we talk about Crandon. What does that mean? I don't know if we've really ever talked about the celestial houses. I might have
Let's
touched on
talk
it.
about
No, we haven't talked much about them, but they
No,
are
we
cool.
haven't.
We
They're
could
interesting.
almost do a whole show on it.
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
important. This is
Mhm.
this is almost like if you want to play something that's like Game of Thrones, you'll love the Great Kingdom.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's this. Oh, this is hot
So
stuff.
true.
Because
Yeah.
we have the celestial houses. These are the royal houses. These are the noble families that have ruled the Erde. And the first one was the Crandon, the prudent and noble Crandon, the first royal house to rule the Great Kingdom. They have a stronghold in Reldevin in the south, and they're known for their wizards, and they're known for their
Art,
they're
Jason
the
says.
stand-up folks. Yes, art. They were not.
Interesting.
They're not really evil. They're kind of the good guys.
That's amazing to hear
maybe.
when because when
Yep.
from because it doesn't really state that in any of the books early on. It sounds like everyone from the Great Kingdom's kind of vile, and you know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
it's
that's
even
what
the
you get.
Undying
That's
kind
the
of
assumption you get.
details it, and there's it's the Crandons are the ones, the odd ones out,
We
so
can
to
go back
speak.
to
They
the
are
next
they're
one for the
not
time being.
overly competitive. Then they seem to be the smart power mongers. And it's and Carl Sargent did an amazing cool job at detailing the noble houses and their characteristics.
So we've also got the Atir, which is mostly thought to
Yeah.
be extinct. They
Yeah.
basically were big seafarers,
Mhm.
but they were basically
Sure.
wiped out, and their
Purple.
lands passed to the Torquan and Nalix.
Okay.
We've got another semi-extinct. It's officially extinct, but there's grumblings about it. The Rax Nyrond line that I'll talk about here in a moment,
Yeah.
which is officially extinct. House Nyrond was the junior branch of the family, and they basically had been part that went on to form the kingdom of Nyrond, with in the area settled by the Nayron.
And that's the only multicolored one you have, Anna. This group.
Yeah,
of
because
heraldry.
they were late to the comers, but the colors are mine to some, mostly mine colors, but there are some science to it, so to speak. They're educated guesses because they're built on the existing heraldry. So I kind of stole the colors of the existing and refined them and said that, okay, these are the colors of the noble houses, so I can base more heraldry for my campaign on these, so to speak. So the Nyrond, the Rex Nyrond, it's on the Nyrond shield. So therefore I took those colors there because that was kind of from them. And also on the my kind of hierarchy when it comes to the heraldry is that that is the Great Kingdom heraldry. It's the blue of the Erde blue, and you have the old sun symbol with the stuff, and you have the crown, the imperial crown on it. And the only ones that can wield that shield for their house are the ones that have had one person on the throne of the empire. So there is a red one for the Nalex, there is a black one for the Crandons, and there's a blue one. So other minority houses that have not had the throne, according to my rules, they have to have the simpler star, not the full star, so to speak.
Like that.
And also,
Gotta earn it.
yeah, exactly. And also, they can have the crown if they have princelings that have been deemed a prince and gotten the princehood from imperial royals, so to speak, been gifted that, then they can put that on their shield. Otherwise they can't. So there's like a hierarchy in what insignia can use, and the colors can only be used. Only the Crandons can have black shields and so on and so forth. So you can, so I kind of made my own heraldry rules for Great Kingdom and its successor states. And then Foriundi have abandoned it. Nyrond keeps more to it, so to speak, and they keep closer to it. And the successor states in the Great Kingdom, they adhere to it vehemently and will go to war if some other side used the wrong color or the wrong star or something. So, okay, sorry.
No, it's good.
No problem.
It's good.
And then-
It's good to get this out. It's good.
Yeah.
And then
It's awesome.
and then we've got the money bags of them,
Yes.
the Darman, the wealthiest of the celestial houses.
Yes, my
They're
second
green.
favorite house is the Darmans. My
Just
favorites
green.
are the Crandons, but the Darmans
Green for
are
money.
the second favorite. They are, if you want to have a debauched, kind of greedy, villainous house in your campaign, the Darmans will fit the bill perfectly. So yeah.
Yeah, they are strong in the house of Alyssa, or in the kingdom of Alyssa. In fact, they're the
Yep.
new Overking after Greyhawk
Nailix
Wars
Royal.
is
That's
it was
Nailix Royal.
is of the house of Darman.
Yep.
And then we have my favorite house, the house of Garisteth,
Oh, okay.
feared for its wizards and
Mhm.
scholars and its eldritch secrets.
And I
Yeah.
Not so
don't-
much. They're not evil in the way that the Naelix have become known, but they are strong in wizardry,
Uh-huh.
and they would not be adverse to summoning fiends, but any more than elementals or any other
Yeah.
sort of thing. And in my campaigns, the second son is almost always a wizard in them,
Yeah.
even if the first son becomes the lord and landowner.
That one, and I
that-
don't have a color for.
No,
For
and
Garisteth, I believe they're purple. But
Uh,
I could
I have
be
had
wrong.
yes,
Tier is
Garistad.
purple.
No, Garistad's have the blue. In,
Oh,
in-
you're
in-
right.
Oh, I
it is
do.
blue.
I do.
Yep.
Duh.
They had the blue. And
You're right.
in my
Sorry.
Reldevin
Thanks, Bill.
campaign, what the Crandons did was that they fought a secret war with the Garistads because they wanted to be the most powerful magical house. So they murdered and went really far. They lured them in and they got the evil Garistads out, so to speak, in their evil and waged a propaganda. So when the Garistads sent stuff, the Crandons were like, yes, now we got them by the balls and they could retaliate, so to speak. So that was part of the fun, so to speak. They send out bait and the Garistad fell for it and they kind of did it because they wanted to have the niche. So the Crandons and the Garistad fought for to be the most powerful magic users and have those abilities. So yeah.
And the Garisteths have two great coastal strongholds
Yep.
in Rel Astra, where Drax, the
Mhm.
Undying, I'll get to that in a moment, is the leader of the basically of the family.
Yeah, and
and
Relasta
then-
have the blue in their shield simply for that reason.
And then there is the
Sorry.
prince
Okay.
of the other twin city besides Renlora, Winitha.
Yep.
So we've got the Lancaster, the Archmage Prince
You know what?
of Lancaster. So
That'd be
so
good
those are two great Garisteth strongholds. And then if we're going to talk about the Garisteth, we have to talk about their rivals, the Torquan.
Yes. Mhm.
This description I loved. Generally a dour lot, traditionally aloof from inner house scheming, concentrating more on repressing their subjects with brutal taxation and draconian laws.
Mhm.
So generally they're all over the place. They're in the middle of part of the kingdom, and then they also were the princes of the Highlander province, but
Ooh.
that
Yeah.
Hope I don't
changed.
crash things here.
Okay.
And then last, but certainly not least, but certainly last, the Naelix.
yes.
The major landholders, they were militaristic to a one. They were
Hey, Doug.
strongly invested in and backed by the Church of Hextor.
Yep.
And during the turmoil between crowns, they came into power, and they were known for their large-scale fortifications and their vanity. Their major cities, their major city is Eastfair in the North Kingdom, which is really theirs, and then they have a lot of land south of there, and of course, then they also have some other cities. They have
Jeez, fair.
so going back to our history. Our first overking was Nazrin of Crandon. So they were kings for a while, but after Nazrin's grandson died,
Let me get
Temerus,
this.
in common year 75,
Okay.
the ruling house became the Rax Nyrond. So that was the second
That's
house
one
that
CY.
ruled. And her eldest son, Mansion, broke with tradition. He was the one who took the Rax Nyrond house, because normally in an heredity marriage, and this is an interesting fun fact, if you will, in an heredity marriage, you don't take the name of the husband or the name of the wife. You take whichever one is more ascendant at the
Yes, I was
time.
gonna say.
Yeah.
So if you're a if you're a Torquon and you're marrying a Garisteth, you're probably going to get kicked out of the family anyway. So you, but if you let me change that. If you were a Torquon and you were marrying into, say, the Nalix, when the Nalix is the Overking's house, you're going to take the name of Nalix, no matter whether it's the bride or the groom's family,
yeah.
because
and you had
that's
to pay
the
a
one.
lot for the privilege of doing it too.
Yeah, and of course this is a medieval society,
Right.
and pretty much anytime you do anything that affects the balance of power, you have to pay the Overking for the privilege,
in cash or land.
or military service.
Yes, or something. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So
if we note that on 1CY, if you go down here, there's Greyhawk. It's touching Greyhawk right here, right? It's not to Hardby, but it's at Greyhawk. So this is year 1. So you're saying in year 75 is this first big event, right?
So in year 75 was when we have the new royal house,
Okay.
because Jarl Rhonda, who was the only overqueen of the, she was a child of Joidy.
Okay.
She was fantastic, and she was
There's
that person who was playing everyone against each other, but doing good for everybody.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she died young at age 40. But
it kind
her
of went
eldest
downhill for the empire. They started out high and kept it
Yeah,
up. And then
it looks
kind
like
of-
it's shrunk here already at 100 CY.
they did,
Yeah.
and originating
Or
back
is this
in
minus 100?
back in minus 100.
That's minus 100.
Grand
CY.
Prince Almor II, who was a prince of the Erde before really the Great Kingdom was really a thing. A winged horror had been released by Urflan insurgents, and they went to attack the royal tent, and they were defended by a bunch of people. And Almor, impressed by the courage of his saviors, raised them up as his knight protectors. And this is the founding of the Knight Protectors of the Great Kingdom, kind of the gold standard for a medieval order.
And there, yep.
Even though
Interesting how they came
Knight
to be. They
Protectors.
were rose up from the dead to be. It's an interesting start.
no, they weren't. They were risen in station.
Ah, gotcha. So
So he was
okay.
So, but most chivalric orders of the time were filled through appointment or selling people, like the Knights of Medigia.
Yeah.
The Knight Protectors chose its own members through contests in courage and skill.
Guys,
and
if
this
they were
was
commoners,
Aristocratic.
They could be
Yeah.
commoners.
And it was interesting because Hextorians and Heronians alike joined, and they had rivalry, but they rarely fought each other. They would.
Yeah, loyalty to the realm was more important than their own conflict,
Correct.
I guess. In the beginning.
The rule of law was more important. And
Yeah.
right around the same time during Mansion's reign was the Battle of the Shamble Field. So they were laying the battlements for a great fortification that was being designed by Shandor and other folks at the base of the Kalmar Pass for Spine Castle.
Yeah.
And
Should
the
we-
Frost
Spine
Barbarians. I'm sorry,
Castle.
go ahead.
I was going to say, should we mention when we're in the minus 100s that mentioned the Battle of Fortnight Length when they fought the
Oh,
when
yeah.
when
I thought we had covered that.
Oh yeah, but when the Neron when they kind of fought to get out of the kingdom, so to speak, so they kind of
Who? I'm confused.
yeah, we covered that. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, no
okay.
problem.
Yep.
Spine Castle. Up.
So
right?
Spine Castle, yeah, if you
Yep.
go up to the Rakers, south of Braddock, so
Yeah,
go
that's what I
down.
thought, right here.
Yeah, right at right where the pass goes through the mountains is Spine Castle. They were building the castle, and the barbarians of the north came in to attack.
Mhm.
And a large force came up, and they were told that they had orders to retire the battlefield. And Kaldny Vir of Edgefield, a young Hyronian Knight Protector, said, "Damn the Overking," and threw the royal standard on the ground and trampled over it. And they went off and charged the enemy and turned them, and they battled. And that was part of why it became the Bone March, was because of all of the bones in the areas. So for
I
his
did not know
service,
that. I was always wondering why it was called the Bone March. I thought it was like
Yeah.
an area of active undead or something, but no.
Oh.
Okay, it's a lot because of battles.
Mhm.
because so many barbarians were slain, and it was called the Battle of the Shamble Field because they were losing, and they turned the tide with that massive cavalry charge. And the
Okay.
Overking raised Vir up as the first marquis of the Bone March.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, in the second to third common year, we had a Torquan nobleman and paladin of Aronius who also changed a lot and sent the Great Kingdom down a dark path. And his name was Kargoth of Mansbridge.
Oh, there you go,
Mhm.
Gary.
Yep.
He was born in 141 in the Kingdom of Erde.
What town?
After-
what city? Do you know?
Mansbridge.
Which is
It's a bit.
I believe
north,
it's
a
in
little bit north. Go north of Rossies and continue. Yeah.
right around here.
it's- Yeah.
yeah,
up
it's
there.
somewhere in the central
Yep.
lands.
hmm
I
Uh,
see it. Mansbridge.
Yeah.
There it is. Got it.
So this
Middle of nowhere.
dude named Kargoth came from there, and he became a paladin of Heronius. And he was everything a paladin of Heronius should be, except he was very, very vain and thought a lot of himself. And it was his time. He was going to be the new Lord Commander. And he fought this nobody for the honor named Benedor. And Benedor held him off and became the new commander. And he was so jealous. He went on a tear. He ran out of town and was wandering around, and he wandered into an old temple of Demogorgon. And sorry, my familiar.
Just don't say that name again.
She's having battles with the Lich Cat. I have a 22-year-old cat back here who won't die,
Oh my gosh.
or already died. You decide.
Yeah.
We think she's staying alive through necrotic powers. That's why I call her the Lich Cat. Anyway, as you probably know where I'm going with this story, he was transformed by Demogorgon into the first Death Knight and lured 13 of his fellow Knight Protectors to a location where they became other Death Knights of Demogorgons. The only reason I really mention this is not because we've got a new type of undead, which is like a really cool type of undead, by the way, but it was started to be the beginning of the end of the Knights Protectors, because many of these former Knight Protectors made it their purpose to hunt down their brethren. So they had Kargoth and several of them hunted the Knights Protectors for a while.
What year is
Yeah.
this? The fall.
This was 141 common year.
Oh, this is pre 200. Okay. Which
Yep.
I have a map.
Absolutely.
But that was the beginning of the fall.
So
to speak.
so the Great Kingdom's great years only lasted like what,
Century, little
200
bit-
years?
Yeah,
Yep.
about 200 years that they
Okay.
were on top, so to speak. And then
Yeah.
it was a slow but steady decline
Great
from there
King.
for 500 years, more 500 years, something. Yeah, about 500 years of
In your great
of
old
decline.
campaigns, it's the original
Yeah.
culture gives us knights, castles, and medieval feudal culture on the Great Kingdom.
big empires don't die overnight, so to speak. They kind of, and then the memory goes on and they linger on, and yeah.
So it sounds like, Gary, that we have a Iridian versus Sulwys versus Bacaluna show coming up, where Lord Brezen appears, Kargoth appears, and
Uh-oh.
and
Oh, God.
and Jonathan does
Oh,
someone
dear.
from Bacalunish, and we have a three-way fight here. It sounds like.
Oh,
brewing.
dear. Yeah.
Oh my. Oh
We
my.
probably have to record that and so we can kind of
Yes.
cut out the ugly bits before we
That'd be pretty cool.
broadcast
What's
it.
up, Mac?
Yeah.
So fast forward to the 440s.
That's what. Here's the 200 map. I'm gonna leave this up.
Okay,
There we
go ahead.
That now it's expanded. It's expanded though.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We're out to looks like Valuna.
Yes.
When we
High
said
folk?
decline, we said decline. We didn't mean territorial wise. We meant moral standing
Okay.
and political
Yes.
stability and stuff.
All the way
Beca-
up here, way north. We got
Oh yeah,
Shieldlands.
Blackmore and Perrinland
my
were the
gosh.
outposts of the
Yeah,
empire. So,
Perrinland.
yep.
No Ulick, no Kingdom
And Bissell
of
was the
Keeland is still
very
holding
l-
here, down here.
Yep.
Selene's separate, Pomar's is separate, and Wild Coast.
That
That's why
was
it's
the
called the Wild
Kiewish
Coast.
sphere of influence at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keeland was one of the few other large kingdoms at that
Mhm.
point.
Yeah.
And when we say great kingdom, we're generally only talking about what's left in the east. But the thing to remember is this map. The Great Kingdom was once all of these other states that won their independence.
It's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Kind of like the sun never shines on or never fail.
On
It's
the
like
British
Rome
Empire,
at its
exactly.
height.
Yep.
It was the world, and then everything broke into pieces parts. Some of it amiably, a lot less so. So
I
back
like
to
how,
the term.
I like
so-
how Gary, real quick. I like how Gary left the timeless tree area open here in the.
Oh yeah,
Vespi.
the elves
That's
in
very
the
smart.
Vespi were
Yeah,
kind of
very nice,
independent
very nice
enough.
touch,
Yep.
Gary. Sorry.
So Phantom, those were maps were made by Gary Julian.
Gary just gave these to me, Rob, and I imagine he'll post them on Cannon Fire, and I can Discord them out to whoever, or Gary can. We'll get them to you. I just literally got them like 2-3 hours ago. All these maps. So yeah, thank you, Gary, for doing this. They're awesome.
So in the 400s, the terrible thing happened. So the Rax Nyron, the House of Rax mostly at this point, had been going down the tubes with senile rulers and weak rulers and insane rulers. And finally, the other nobles just decided that another Rax ruler was completely unacceptable. And finally, in 446, Common Year, the Overking was assassinated, and Ivid of Nalix claimed the throne and plunged the nation into civil war. So this is known as the turmoil between crowns.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So this is important because this is where we really begin breaking up the Great Kingdom at this point.
And the turmoil between crowns is in the original glossography noted here in the timeline, right? So,
Yes, it is.
So it is in
Well-
here. And
Yeah.
it is 444. It says 437 here. So it took 10 years.
My notes had that he was assassinated in 446. So
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
it went
Maybe
on for
we've
9
got
years. Okay,
maybe we've got some discrepancy between sources.
okay.
Yeah, but it's yeah. Mhm.
Very
Let's
cool.
just say back in the mid 4th century
Yep.
is
Okay.
when this happened.
Okay.
And so it was, over 100 years ago, if you're going by the 776, it's over a couple hundred years, or 576. It's over 100 years ago.
Okay.
And most of the house, so the House of Nalix sided with Ivid. A few cousins didn't, right? The Church of Hextor was like, absolutely, we're behind you, man. And they gave their church armies to the effort, and they had a militant church army, as behold a Church of Hextor. Crandon opposed the Nalix prince, as did many in the House of Garisteth, and of course, what was left of House Rax.
Okay.
Most of the nobles used the war as cover to settle old scores with one another, as you do in a war between houses. Again, hints of Game of Thrones here. People are settling old scores, but they're doing it towards the ultimate end. And the Darman, of being the coin and trade folks, kind of held back to wait to see who was going to win. When it was clear that the Nalix were ascendant, they sacked Rel Devon just to say, hey, we're with you, and we're going to take all this
Yep.
loot.
Oh my gosh.
And the Crandons never forget that, so that's why they're
All right.
So, and in fact, I believe the Church of Zilchus is basically a captive pope in the lands of the Darman now. So, or in the
So
yeah,
got
they're
them
the it's kind of money corrupted the Darmans and Overking Sevener. He's kind of he's have, it's so corrupt he has a hard time. But on the other hand, he can play violin with them too if need be, so
All
to
right.
speak.
So Rel Devon gets sacked during this time frame as well.
Yep.
Rel Devon technically was never part of the South Kingdom. Is that correct? Or was it?
What do you mean the South?
Well, I
Kingdom?
noticed here we got the South Kingdom, South Province, North Province.
No, they
Oh,
were
it's-
outside the South
It was
Province.
outside. It was its
Yeah.
own province, basically, right?
Yep.
'Cause I'm using the
They were their
576
own.
map.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were a
I just want to make
princely
sure. I just want to make
province.
sure.
So, yep.
I want to try and follow this as much as I
Yep,
can.
they
to
had the
learn.
same status as the South Province or the North Province, but they were never as independent formally. I think they kept a more low profile, so to speak. They
Okay.
and kept ties with Nyrons and Olmorians
And
others.
Elmorians. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I'm going to talk a little bit, and Gary reminded me not to forget the Fultons. I'm going to talk a little bit about the sea and about the prelacy
yes.
here in just a
Mhm.
moment.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but I
Okay.
just wanted to point out that finally in 450, the other houses accepted the Overking, but he had to pay. In a nutshell, a lot of folks kind of got their freedom. Rel Astra and the Solnor Compact kind of took a hike, and some other folks did as well. And right around the same time, we've got the Iron League forming as an affiliation of states that oppose the
Iron
Great
League.
Kingdom.
Down here.
Mhm.
So we've got the kind of the all-stars of the South here. We've got ID, the Free City of Irongate,
Yep.
Onwall, and then later the Lordship of the Isles and the County of Sunday joined in 455. So they're all opposing all this, and they're pulling out,
Septino.
and they have great battles with the Great Kingdom, which depletes their strength as well. By the 6th century, the Great Kingdom had shrunk to a fraction of its size, limited to the lands east of the Harp River and Tesser Torrent, north of the Iron Hills and the Thelly River. And you've also got at this point Medigia and Almor breaking away. So let me talk about Medigia and Almor.
Yeah.
So actually, Medigia was originally formed by Heronians and Hextorians. It was a land that they fought over. It was originally the Blade Lands of Medigia, and it was Heronians or Hextorians, and the Heronians came in and they kind of fought over it. And then after the Great Kingdom was officially formed, Nazrin of Crandon, our favorite friend and first Overking,
Yep.
appointed a cleric of Fultus to lead the realm as the Holy Censor.
Yep.
So we've got a good god here. He's kind of the official good god, but that didn't last, as most things do in the Great Kingdom. In 252, it was given by Torin of Rax.
Hang on a second.
Go
I
ahead.
just want to say, See of Medigia, wasn't that more like the papal estate, so to speak?
Exactly.
Given to the Z. So he got that as his private fief to run
Yep.
as a service of running the religious part of the Great
It was
Kingdom.
a
so to
holy
speak.
see.
Yep.
Yes.
mhm.
And in 252, common year, it was given by Torin of Rax, who was currently the Overking, to Zelchus.
Yep.
So now we've
Oh,
got we've
Complete
gone from
corruption.
good to neutral.
Yep.
We've got the Almighty Buck is your God. It's the
Yep.
official state religion at this point.
Yep.
And after the turmoil between crowns, we all know what happens here.
Yep.
It gets given to the Hextorians.
Yep.
If you fun fact time, after the fall of the Great Kingdom, it's recreated as a marchland, so nobody wants it to be a holy see anymore.
Okay.
Now let's talk
Look,
about
But that was part of sorry for interrupting, but
No,
that
go
was an
ahead.
interesting part when the See of Medigia, that was one of Nailek's, I think, last things he did was that he raided it and flattened it completely because he had asked for support and stuff, and
He
they
did.
held it, and so one of the last things that the Overking actually did with and could do through it was actually to race this to the ground before
Well,
the
the Holy Censor said, "You're a heretic,"
exactly.
And he
then
said-
he said, "Damn you!" And he said all
he's-
the historians after.
and when Osan raided from Almor over into the Medigian heartland to try to get the battles focused on reclaiming and protecting rather than attacking, the Overking's armies did nothing, and he let
Yep.
them have to, and then when they were finally wiped out, he let his own troops raise the land. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
poor Medici, I don't know what wrong they did, but they got simply whacked and raided by everybody in that conflict, basically.
Our last Overking didn't have a lot of friends at that point.
That's true. Yeah.
And then we've got our other church lands. We have the prelacy of Almore,
Hmm.
which was a land that was a protector. It was a holy land, and their capital was Chathold. They were between a rock and a tight place, though. They were between the
Yep.
Great Kingdom and Nyrond, and they were, I think, culturally more aligned with Nyrond, which did not help them in the Great Kingdom's eyes. And when the wars happened, their land was raided, and not only was it raided, their
Oh,
capital of Chathold was absolutely destroyed.
yeah, he even sent out the worst of his generals, Duke Zephyrin, and
Hey, Mike.
and the very, very worst of his asshole generals, so to speak, and he did a thorough
That-
job to
All I remember
Lightning.
is that Gord shows up in Chathold in the book, in the first book, and I'm like, ah.
okay, yeah,
What's he doing there?
yeah.
And
Hey,
with
Amy.
talk of Duke Zephyrin, you know where he's from?
Oh, I forgot that.
No.
He's
yeah.
from Almore.
Oh, is
Oh
he?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
mhm, yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
the thing that kind of sets Duke Zephyrin apart is he not only is he an evil general, he's also an animus.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about
Oh yes, please.
the Great
Yep.
Kingdom's further decline,
Yep.
one of the other things is that good is being marginalized with the rise of Hextor as the state religion, and the Overking is corrupting things that were considered pure previously. We've got the once holy Malachite throne is being replaced with a chunk of Malachite they dug out of the Cauldron of Night, and it's now this evil artifact that they use to gate in undead to supplement, or not undead, I'm sorry, devils to supplement the Overking's armies and to do his will, and to cast wishes and stuff for him. And the other piece that's provided is that he's corrupted his courts. We had a very strong legal system that was created by Shandor, the Archmage, who was also thought to be a child of Joiade, which was a big thing. And he created this wonderful legal system with all sorts of checks and balances. And one of the things was his court system. And it was very well balanced. But during the time under Ivid's, under the Nalix crown, these things are all corrupted. There was a 3-judge system, and it got replaced with a system where the Hextorian judge was always the one who was relied upon to give the final answer. He had a magical room that was created called the Court of Essences, where you were forced to tell the whole truth and nothing but the entire truth. And he warped that magic so that you said exactly what the Overking wanted you to say. And he would use that, and people would settle out of court and accept horrible punishments, lest they walk into an area where they're able to be a puppet to what the Overking wants them to say, something that's probably going to get them a lot worse punishment, where they go in there and proclaim, that they're traitors, and that, name all their friends. Those folks are all traitors too, and I know it because I have proof. So the Court of Essences is also corrupted by the Overking. It's in Ivid. So this is good stuff. And Greyhawk Mike, we totally need some family trees. And in fact, Ivid the Undying references a family tree of Ivid that doesn't exist because we
Yep.
didn't get the full product.
Exactly. That. Damn, we missed that one.
So
that part.
it could be like Len's little stash, maybe in a Carl Sargent stash somewhere it exists.
Yeah, might be.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We'll have to
Yep.
summon the ghost of Carl Sargent.
Well,
and ask him.
I
Yep.
mean, maybe someone has some notes somewhere, and we can do some research on that. But Gary says that I did not know Zagig is a minor noble of Crandon, and Mordenkainen
Yep.
and Bigby are cousins, or his distant
Mhm.
cousins. So I did not know that. And,
Oh yeah, Bigby is Crandon. Yep. hmm
There's a lot of famous Grandons that
Yeah,
were
yeah.
in Gary's
Bigby
campaign.
is from he is from Rasfern. That's why I put the feather for and
Hey.
and there's some other stuff.
all I'll
No,
say,
sorry, from Aldridge. And so I made the Aldridge shield is a black shield with a fist on it.
you need to get moving, Gary, and everyone else, because the only family trees that exist now are the Winchesters and the Rothschilds, and they're mine. So you guys all need to start working on these family trees so we have some more.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Duke Severin.
Yep.
And one of the interesting thing about him is that he is an animus.
And that's what I got.
So
on there,
with the Hextorians Ascendant, they were given additional supernatural aid to the Overking in the form of a church ritual that used an artifact called the Casket of Abyssal Bone. And the Casket of Abyssal Bone, with these things that it supposedly included a pit fiend casting a wish, would turn a living person into an animus. And the idea is that this allowed them to keep all of their abilities that they had as a living person, but they were beholden and more obedient to the Overking. But instead of loyalty, it bred hatred of the Overking in almost every instance. But it did instill fear, and it was less fear of the Overking, but fear of pissing off the Overking enough that he recognized your ability and made you an animus.
Yep.
He would do it as a reward. He would do it as a punishment. He basically did it if you screwed up, and he did it if you were successful.
Yep.
So what happened is you had a whole bunch of really capable people staying on the lowdown. So you had, during these horrible wars, you had a lot of the best people were very much kind of staying out of it as much as possible because nobody wanted to be made into an animus.
Yeah, I think
so they
every
did. I
house
thought
had.
some people did. I'm sorry, Anna. I thought some people wanted to become an animus.
Oh yeah, there's one. I forgot his name. That actually rejoiced the state. He loved the status that he could now live forever. So he enjoyed it. Everyone else seemed to hated it.
So we've got a whole laundry list of important people that were made animuses. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to call out a couple of big ones.
Definitely.
We've got Drax the Invulnerable, the ruler of Rel Astra. He got invited to a special party in his honor. The very first animus that was chosen was Prince Hastern of Nalix.
Okay.
This guy was a rogue who found that there was some wonderful girl who was the heiress to the city of Edgefield, and he went and married her, and then killed off all of his new relatives and became the new prince. And the Overking said, "I like you. Here's your reward."
Yeah.
And he's hating life ever since.
Yep.
We've got General Calrith. We've got Duke Severin of Almor, and we've got his great mistake, Delglath of Rinloru. So there was a big
I think he's
to-do.
the one that likes it. Delgath of Rinloru. I think he was the one that actually enjoyed the status because he could now live forever and he didn't have to worry about dying. So yeah.
He has a sad story because he was a cleric of Erithnal, the god of slaughter. He was a big, strong guy, and there was the Overking found that he had a problem. The folks in Rinloru were Torquan, and they were defying him, and he eventually he chose to kill them off, but he couldn't just give Rinloru to anyone. He decided to give them to another Torquan, and he knew this guy Delglath was loyal to him, so he rewarded him, but he didn't pacify the people soon enough, so they chose him for revivification. And then when they killed him, Erithnal stopped giving him spells, and he was ecstatic until he realized he couldn't cast spells. Then he was pissed off, and then he said, "You know what? I will pray to you, Nerul." And Nerul said, "I dig it," and he gave him powers, and he said, "Okay, I'm the new coming, and now it's like zombie land because he's
Exactly.
decided to convert
He
everyone that
converted-
isn't a skilled laborer
Yep.
into a zombie. So if you
Yep.
weren't
Oh.
doing something that required a brain, he wants to make you into a zombie.
Yep.
So look like you're using your head, not your arms and back when you're
Wow.
around this guy. So it's a big mess. And
Yep.
the reason that he's not been wiped out is because they're fighting all these other problems.
Yeah.
And he's
But
also,
I think Overking Grinnell will not give him too much slack any longer. He will go after him. So-
it's a fascinating story.
Wow.
I'm
Oh,
saying
yeah.
it's a sad story, but now
Oh,
it's
yeah, but-
crazy.
Yeah, that goes with most of the
Nuts.
former Great Kingdom. It's sad but fascinating and damn good adventure stories.
So we've got all of this crazy stuff that's coming out of the Great Kingdom. We've got the Erde Cities of Enlightenment. We've talked about Rel Astra. We've talked about Rel Devon, but the third one was Rel Mord, which
Yep.
is, isn't even in the Great Kingdom anymore. It's, well, actually, technically, none of them are in the Great Kingdom anymore at this point.
Yeah.
But it's the capital of Nyrond, and these were kind of the big cities that they invested all their monies and libraries in.
Mhm.
And anyways, so that's my take on the Great Kingdom. So I mean,
Yeah.
these are the important things. So the
Fantastic
Great
story.
Kingdom, actually, I'm sorry, I've forgotten a couple of other good details I wanted to go in. So obviously in 563, so we're still pre-gazetteer at this point.
Okay.
The Bone March gets invaded by humanoids, and some say with the help of their greedy neighbor to the southeast, Prince Grunel.
Yeah.
He gives them aid, and the Bone March falls, all but the county of Nurl, which is under siege, and according to various stories, under control of evil people. But if you read the Gord books, Count Dunstan's a stand-up guy, so we have a little bit of conflict in even with Gary, because he's saying that Nurl's under the control of evil people, and then he's got the book, and Nurl's run by a fairly standard
Someone's doing a
feudal
neural
warlord.
campaign on Cannon Fire. Who is it on Cannon Fire Discord? Someone's.
Sorry?
I just crashed.
Isn't it?
I just crashed. Am I still
Okay.
there?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. We
I
hear
think
you.
it's Mateus, isn't it?
Is it Matt? Yeah. I think
I know
crashed.
he's
So
done a
you
lot
mean
of
the
stuff.
stream crashed or
Yeah.
something? Or, okay.
I just dropped 5,000 frames.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat usually
we're-
works
we're
separately
fine.
from the video
see.
stream. So yeah.
It looks like.
Well,
it
I will pretend that it's still working on the off chance that people can hear me. Can people hear
Yeah.
me?
We'll see.
Internet's
That's
glitchy
glitchy.
tonight. Am I still
Yeah.
on?
But we have
Looks
a
like we're on
we have
still.
a,
Looks like we just
yeah.
dropped. All right,
we
Matt.
have
Yeah,
a
so
good
that's it.
question. What?
All right,
what-
we didn't
oh,
drop.
sorry.
I thought we. Maddie's. Yeah, that's cool, man. So
Yeah.
it's very
Well,
glitchy. All right, just note
We had
that.
we had a good question from chat.
We got two questions
Cat
and one
three-
statement. So let me go way
Yeah,
back, Ann, if you don't
yeah,
mind.
Go back, please.
Gaetano put something in that Devil's Spawn. Len Lakofka put in a relative. Is that it? A relative of what Nalix or Rax? I saw it back there, and I had never. Len did have an heir to Rox and Nyrond who was in stasis. The characters in L4 Devil Spawn, the PCs could release him, and it was a prophecy he would save the Great Kingdom. You know anything about that, Dale? I don't know anything about
This is
it.
Len stuff? I
Yeah,
haven't
in
heard
Devil
this.
Spawn, L4. Yeah.
I have not seen L4.
Okay. Yeah. Which is
Was it released?
Yeah. It's on Dragon's
Yeah.
Foot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't have that one. I'll have to go out
I
and
went
grab it.
wild with it. Do you know where that person is?
All right. So stream didn't go off. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it. It's actually Lord Mistrin that is the protector of that person in status. He's a Rax.
Oh, okay.
So he
Okay.
fled from. That's why he fled to the Wild Coast. That's my take on the story. So he took a lot of the treasure with him and stuff, and that's one of the secrets he guards and safeguards is that thing, so to speak. So he's a refugee, an evil, powerful bastard from the Great Kingdom that has that, and he defends that, so to speak. And he still kind of entertains the idea of sending a descendant to go back to the Great Kingdom, but times have never come yet. So he lingers on in the Wild Coast and keeps to himself and has plenty of money and good training and a lot of artifacts or like powerful weapons and stuff like that. So he basically sits there and now they're second generation, and now he's teaching the third generation to uphold the oath of protecting the heir of the true heir of the kingdom, so to speak, the Rax tradition, so to speak.
I so wish that Len was back and we could ask him about that.
Yep.
Oh my.
All
right, so
not sorry.
Jason just says this map of Neural doesn't match up.
I know that. Yeah.
Doesn't match the description in Saga of Old City.
We talked about it. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. No,
Yeah,
the NPC is a lawful good cleric. All
and
right.
we
Well,
had one other good question. What's rel means?
What's rel mean? Yeah, that was Cathay. What does rel stand for? Rel Mord, rel Astra. City
I
of.
have it for the Auridian's word for metropolis. Or
Yeah, I would
that's
just
my take.
have it be a general city term.
Yeah.
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 Like
big city.
Grand
term,
City or something like that, I
yeah.
believe.
Like
So,
important city. So yeah.
okay. Those were some of the questions. I didn't want to get too far behind, too far scrolled back on that.
Yeah, I have
So-
one little tidbit from the obsidian, the black obsidian that they used for the throne, and I took the story. That's why Critwall has a black tower, because they used the same. Because back in the early days of the Great Kingdom, the black stone was actually seen as good, and that's why the Crandon has black on their shield, and that's why Critwall was actually. The tower in Critwall was actually put the malachite on top of on outside, so it was a black tower. That's why they have a black tower as a symbol, because that was a symbol of good back then. And then the Naelexes debauched all that with making a new malachite throne that was evil. But Critwall kept. They took away the black, so now it's a white tower in Critwall, limestone tower, so it's white, but the symbol is still the black tower on the shield lance. So that's
they
my
got
kind
rid of the
bit.
black, but that's
Yeah,
there's a historical reason why it's there.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So I kind of went with that in my heraldry for the shield lance and stuff. So that was a story behind it from that I kind of went with.
That's cool. So we were just talking about the animuses, and the final animus was, of course, Ivid himself. Apparently he was dying. He had some sort of
the
disease.
wasting disease, they called it. I don't know.
And apparently at Balzaphon, who was the patron devil. So the thing to remember is the House of Ivid is working not only with the Church of Hextor, so you've got the forces of Archeron and Hextor, but you've also got the devils of hell, because they're working with Balzaphon.
And I have Hextor is the herald of hell, so that's why, so to speak. So the Hextorians are representing hell. So it's basically the Naelexes are being run and supported by the infernal powers of hell. Yeah.
But apparently Balzaphon doesn't want to lose this pawn, so he has him get revivified, and now he's undying. He's going to keep being his puppet on Earth, and apparently the wasting disease wasn't stopped by revivification.
Yeah.
And eventually he was dead, and shortly thereafter chaos broke out in the capital, and then Mike's got the right of it. Boom, something happens. It's not defined what happens. It's said that you can't. It's not known if he's alive or dead. It's all a big mystery. Living Greyhawk answered it with an interesting thing. They said the whole thing got caused where somebody put the Shield of Hextor on the column of screams or whatever it is in the Albury Park in the where he used to torture people on the Undying Column where they wouldn't die, and it caused a planar rift where the area around Roxas kind of got locked to Archeron. And basically it's kind of fun. It's like Tomorrow War where they're beaming in the good guys every once in a while to fight the devils that have their own gateway there, and they're talking about maybe within the next 10-20 years being able to take Roxas. But that's kind of neat if you want to go high fantasy, but you could,
Yeah.
it's not canon. You can do anything you want. You can say,
Yep.
oh, there was just a big explosion and Roxas was wiped out, or it was like a neutron bomb and all the people were killed. I mean, there's no right answer. It's your Greyhawk. Do what you want. There was
Yeah.
some
Exactly.
sort of issue and nobody has gone to claim Roxas yet. So that's going to be interesting to see what you do with your campaigns.
That's
Now,
exactly that. I
obviously
was going
that's-
to ask that question. So I want to hear what you and Mike and Jay and every ideas of what you guys
I'll
are going
start.
to do with it.
I leave it alone because I don't do anything on that side of the map.
Oh,
and
that's
just
true. It's the
better
wrong side of
off-
the map. Yeah,
Yes,
that's true. Yeah.
I know. I would know enough to be dangerous, and it's an entire
So-
campaign outside the Order of Ulick. That whole thing.
So
and
this
leave
this
it- yeah.
awesome discussion, you can actually stay away from that. That's impossible for me.
Well,
this is too
just-
meaty.
I'm
to
Sheldamar
stay
Valley
out of it.
guy. I'm a Greyhawk.
Okay.
Greyhawk, Heartbeat,
It's too
Sheldamar Valley
timid
guy.
and too quiet, and too peaceful, and all
Exactly.
that.
It's
like
too
yeah.
much. It
Okay.
would be resetting my campaign over, because it's a
No, but you can-
completely different.
It hasn't fallen apart yet. You can
Ah.
keep it up, or you can let it fall apart, or you can yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to leave it to those that
Yeah.
delve into it deeply. So I want to hear what they have to say on it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Mike,
So,
what would you,
Mike,
go ahead.
Mike, what's your take on what do you want to do with the Grey Kingdom or the aftermath or whatever? Yeah.
Let's see. So the capital getting snuffed out was, I think that's a kind of too easy way out.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it would have been all right just to let them keep fighting over it intact. Let it just kind of get torn to bits, by the different factions. I think the only time I even addressed it in a campaign, I had it as a natural disaster, and then the players were allowed to pick through the ruins. Nothing about shunting it to another plane, although that would work really nicely with the 5th edition book that's adventure that came out about a year or so ago that I'm currently playing, Descent into Avernus.
Mm-hmm.
where
I've
a
heard
whole
about
city-
that.
A whole
Yeah.
city gets pulled into Avernus,
See? Yeah.
and you're trying to help restore it.
Yeah, I read about that, and I thought it might be neat if Roxas were pulled into Avernus and you were trying to prevent Rel Aster from joining it.
Yeah, that's right. Because another city now is in line to Baldur's Gate, I think it was, in line to get pulled in.
Or Rel'Davin, or what
Or
have you. Some other big city, your favorite city, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So one good thing is that Bill and Master Crafter just noted in chat that he has 2 characters from the Great Kingdom in our campaign that have come over, and this discussion's great because it gives us some more ideas for other characters whenever we do new firsts or new characters again to bring them out from the Great Kingdom. So that's a good thing. So that's a little tidbit of our
Yeah.
campaign with characters. Amy just put in what she had done there, which is pretty cool. Well, that's cool. Mattis is running the Veiled Society B6 in Neural. That's one of the Ever Mysterious Tim's favorite modules of all time.
Yeah.
Grendel's a great big bad Mateus.
Oh yes.
Because
Oh,
he's an assassin high priest. He runs the Church of Hextor. And he's-
oh
in
yeah.
first edition, I think he was like even the grandfather of assassins.
Mhm.
I tried to figure out how I could do that in 3rd edition. I didn't figure out until I actually had him that we're gonna pull a J here. We can go steal from the Forgotten Realms. They
Why
had a prestige class that was around Cyric, and it was basically a cleric assassin that got,
Mhm.
Sounds great.
so it's
Yeah.
like you give up a few caster levels and you get all the assassin skills. And I thought that
Yeah.
I said,
I love
this
that.
is perfect. I love this.
What deity did you make it to?
To Hextor.
The
Yeah,
Hextor.
he's
Okay.
the
Yeah,
the
because it gave me a chance to make Grunel the way I thought he should be made in 3rd edition.
Yep.
Because there was no way to make a high priest that it was also a higher level assassin. It doesn't work unless you make it some sort of hybrid class.
We have a
Mhm.
hybrid class. kind of, but it's multi. We have Shadow Mage Assassin. That works real well in our game. So I know, and Bill has a PC at half work that's a Shadow Mage Assassin mix. That's a little nasty.
Yeah.
So there you
In-
go.
in-
Besides, Ouija would be a good way to go too. The evil version of Ouija priest would work there too
Yeah.
for assassin. So
I
So-
oh, sorry. go on.
neat.
No.
It's neat.
I was going to say, when I ran my Rel Devon campaign,
What's up,
Grinnell
Max?
was one of the behind the characters never got close to him, but he was one of the top villains on one of the major factions. And I had him, he was an epic 20 level, he was a cleric rogue. So and he was and he had some prestige classes as well, so to speak. So he was he was effectively a lich, because he was undead. He turned himself undead because he didn't want to. He was starting to feel like he was getting old and frail, and he didn't trust the animus and wanted and any of that, so to speak. So he went for old-fashioned lichdom, and so he's a clerical lich kind of, and 20th level cleric of Hextor. So and
Thank you, Gary.
and he's one hell of a fighter as well as can cast spells. And he's also runs a very, I would say, harsh, effective. He doesn't tolerate a lot of people are supposed to do their jobs, and if not, he's going to crush them. So
Yes.
that's period. No bullshit, no corruption and paying under the table or stuff like that. Meaning he gives an order, he expects it to be followed. Otherwise, he just sends someone out and just make a mush out of them. So he's very effective, straightforward, doesn't care about any fancy stuff. Simple, easy, and effective. That's his method of doing it. I take him as these ascetic, almost monk-like things, so to speak. He doesn't no fancy, no luxury, no nothing, just effectiveness. He want to win. That's it.
I was
So-
going to say, I always pictured him as the patriarch of the Lannister family from
yeah,
the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's that plotter who's behind the scenes, and he's
Mhm.
going to get his revenge.
Yeah, and I also have it that one of his agenda that is not he's starting. I haven't decided how the outcome that will be in the next campaign, in the future campaign after my Shieldlands campaign. That he is now trying to see, because in my timeline and stuff, the Death Knights were sent by the Dark Faith, the Old Faith, the Flan, to put a wrench into the Great Kingdom machinery, and Duke Cornell, he knows that. So he's going to try and subvert, go head to head with Kargoth, because he wants, and he has the blessing of the Nine Hells and Hextor himself to wrench the Death Knights from the Flan and Demogorgon and Nerul and the Flan, so to speak, and bring them over to the powers of hell. That's his thing to do. So he's going to do whatever it takes to bring that power over and then use it. And he also renamed it. So they are now the Empire of Erdi. So they are, because they want to be the true heirs of the Great Kingdom, so to speak. And he's not going on an expansion route, because he wants to console power at home and basically going on a killing spree on anyone who doesn't obey his orders. And he wants to have a clear-cut command line of power from the Nine Hells through his office and then out in the land, so to speak. That's his, and to convert. So the Bone March is where he wants to convert them. So, but he's going subtle in some ways. He can be subtle with the enemy, but the funny thing, he's more brutal with his own side and subtle with the enemy, because he wants to convert them rather than win over, and then he kills the one in the backyard who doesn't follow his orders. So he's a bit backwards that way.
I'm soaking it all in, man, because I don't do
Yep.
anything over here. So it's
Yep.
this is good for me. See you, Alderon. Thanks, man. Thanks. We need to.
That's one of the sides. And then I have the other side. That's the United Kingdom of Alyssa and Prince Sevener, or Overking Sevener. He's the other big contender to the one of the three contenders to be the new ruler of Erdi and the new Overking. And his problem is that he runs the opposite from the Grenell that is non-corrupt. He's the opposite. He's super corrupt. It's money talks, money, and his big backers are the Darmans and the Silchus priests, and they are only interested in earning money. So they will only let him stay and do whatever he wants as long as the profit, the money's coming in. So he's tied, one hand is tied behind his back because he needs money. And one of his biggest problem is that the most money comes from trade, and the biggest trading partner is Nyrond. And the key to Nyron is the Crandons, who are the Nyron's friends, and they are basically, they're inside his part, and he always wants to sack Reldevan again and get rid of the Crandons, because they are, the problem is that the Crandons are the only ones that are powerful enough to they are sitting on the trade route, and the Crandons are also more powerful wizardly, and they also have the best fighters of the land, so to speak. So they have both the best, and they have also good connections. And the other weird thing with the Crandons also have the most badass evil one in the realm, and that's the one of their princelings that is a necromancer vampire that has been around for hundreds of years, who has a black dragon in his backyard, who thinks that
Whoops, that was me. I hit the wrong button.
Yeah,
That's right, that was my
Crandon,
button.
he can run whatever regime he wants as long as I can have my castle, live in peace, and have my guard outside. And Reldevan, the Crandons think that, okay, we can have an evil cousin as long as he doesn't go after us, and they have a pact that way. And over King Sevener, he doesn't like it one bit, because if he attacks the Crandons, he will get both the House Silchus
crap.
would not like it because it will cut profits, and he will get a civil war
crashed.
with the only ones who can be. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We were crashed. Can you hear us still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know
Well,
we can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks
But
like
it's-
we're
this
dropping
is so
frames
cool
like
because-
crazy. We're dropping
Yeah.
frames like crazy.
Yeah. But this topic is so cool because it is like Game of Thrones. You can run awesome
This
campaigns.
one
in
looks.
area.
This one looks bad.
Okay, you have
this
to
one looks
reboot
real
and come
bad.
back. Yeah.
No, it's Twitch tonight. It's Twitch tonight.
Yep.
This one looks real bad. We may Neelix is
Yeah,
having its
Neelix
revenge.
doesn't like
one
this,
may
so,
this one
yeah.
may take us down. So I've dropped over 5,000 more frames. So yeah.
Now I
let's
have a
see.
familiar on the
Yeah,
run
we're
here.
not. I think we're gonna go down this time.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Good blame Lich Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chat is still going. I mean, but I got no picks at all.
Oh,
Oh,
I have
crap.
Lich Dog here
I
on the
rarely
one
have
here,
this
so
happen
there we
on
go.
talk shows. So
yeah.
rarely
Well,
have
you
this. one's
scrolling
bad.
the map around a lot too. so
Yeah,
that's
I don't
okay.
think that has anything to do with it though. This
Okay,
is
good.
this is
Good.
this
Yeah.
is we're still here, but we're not streaming any picks, right?
Okay.
Storm's
yeah.
on. I don't think that has
Patrick,
any-
Can they
Patrick's,
hear us?
Patrick says you're back.
I got
Okay,
your
good.
back. No, that just I have no pick.
No, he
alive.
says I got you back.
Oh,
not
you
your
got me back? Okay, because I don't have
He
myself
says it
back.
just refreshed.
All right. There
Okay,
you go.
good.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to refresh
Maybe
myself.
maybe they're
There we go.
F5ing themselves or
All right, we're
Yeah.
good. All right, we're good. So another possible non-crash. So my gosh.
It might depend on where you are in the world and your
Yeah.
ISP and stuff. So.
All right.
when Jay, I'm with you. I don't do a lot. I have a twin brother, and he and I both DM in Greyhawk, and
Ooh.
we have divided the map in half. I do stuff in the east. He does stuff in the west. Now, in fairness, I've run some Living Greyhawk stuff that kind of bounced all over the place, but they don't mind that.
Okay.
But in general,
all
he's
set.
developed Keeland, and he's done some stuff in Jeff and the Grand March, and he uses that whole area. And I am up
Thank you,
in
Longshot.
Neural and Nyrond and the Bone March. And my
Yeah.
next area that I'm developing is the Principality of Highlander and Red Falls. So the
Oh,
Shalazzi.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
remember you talking
Awesome.
about that in Ivid, and
Wow.
I really
Yeah.
love that discussion. That's
You need to-
some unbelievable detail there, right?
Mhm.
You got some unbelievable. Let me. That's all the way up here, isn't it? Up in the north.
no, yeah, you
up-
go
up-
far.
up-
You're far
just-
to west, east.
just-
Bone March, the borderland between
right,
the North
Highlander, right
Province
there,
and
right
yeah,
there,
mhm.
Yep.
right there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
At least I know the geography of the area.
Yeah.
I'm screwed up sometimes when
Yeah,
it comes
so-
to the yeah. mhm.
Yeah, and this is
I-
this. Go ahead, Dale.
I've got it divvied into baronies and kind of the lands that Shalaster owns. There's an interesting story there because it's a Torquon land that traded hands, and Gary and I discussed it, and we decided it probably happened in 576.
Oh,
Everybody's
okay, yeah.
favorite year.
Well, that's a good
Um,
time. Yeah, absolutely.
Because Shalaster, the lord of that land, actually was born and was the heir to a barony in just south of Renloru. I've decided it's in the area of the Norden villages, so they were like the barony of Norden.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh,
not
cool.
major, but the problem is they were a Garisteth family in a land dominated by the Torquon, and they weren't really important. It was basically pasture land that was hilly and scrubby that had some sheep and, some minor crops, but they were dealing with, all sorts of conflict between local Torquons in Renloru and
Yeah.
the Garisteth, their family, which they weren't really fond of, in to the east in Winnetha. But anyways, at some point, 576, he traded lands with the Prince of Highlander, and so the Prince of Highlander became the Baron of Norden, and he became the Prince of Highlander. And I came up with a story for that. It's very Game of Thronesy. The one guy is, I had Shalaster was being fostered there to try to mend some fences between the two houses, and he was a very militant person rather than a wizardly type, and he didn't give a rat's ass about politics. So he took to the men and they took to him, and he was being fostered and was 18 and in 563. And what happened in 563? The fall of the Bone March. I decided that what happened was the Prince of Highlander and his son, the heir, were in Spine Castle for a festival when it was attacked, and they were lost. And the lesser son, who had no martial skills and no leadership qualities whatsoever, became the prince, and his Torquon relatives hated it. But they liked this Shalaster guy, but he was of the wrong house. And it was arranged for them to switch. And I've got, like I said, I've got a whole story there, but in a nutshell, Shalaster becomes the lord of this Torquon principality. He's the new prince, and he's got a whole bunch of Torquon barons working for him. And he's defending the northern border against orcs that his overking, if you talk about the Herzog of the North, Grunel is basically inviting the orcs in to use them to threaten all of his other nobles. But he is in charge of the Imperial Highlanders, who are one of the elite fighting forces of the Great Kingdom, and they hate the orcs.
Right.
So they killed them, even
they've
though
been fighting them for hundreds of years, and now Grunel wants to bring them in.
And in fact, they're common. Every time the orcs go to Eastfair, they complain to the Overking that Grunel's, he calls them the wall fiends because they use shield walls, that the wall fiends are killing them and he wants them punished. But Grunel doesn't care because the orcs are a problem. He doesn't want to, he's trying to figure out what to do with them. And he's trying to decide between using them to try to take over the Bone March or doing a march on Roxas to see what happened there, figuring that they'll probably get wiped out on the way.
Yeah.
Canadian, I've got a write-up on it, but it's part of my Red Falls thing. I'll tell you what, I will share what I have with you after I clean it up just a little bit.
So Dale, has anyone else developed this area? Or this is all you.
I mean, other than a couple of paragraphs in Ivid the Undying, no. I mean, I want to write a gazetteer for the Highlander.
Mattias says he has to in the Neural area as well. So, but here's the thing. So to everyone out there who's watching this, Dale's taken a place and he's made it his own. That's exact. I've taken where I have Altamira and
Altamira.
Principality
Yeah.
Ulick and Celine, and I've made it my own. Anna's taken her Shield Lands and Horn Society and her campaign and made it her own. And that's the whole point of a lot of these discussions, is that there are these spots all over the place. I love this story. This story is awesome. I
Mhm.
mean, and also like what Carlos has done with this, which is
The 9.
the 9. I mean, the 9. That's Medija, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So Carlos is what? So Carlos has done, and unfortunately Carlos isn't on, but has done and taken the 9 and has a whole story. And look at this thing is one of the thickest adventures he's ever put out. This thing's
Mhm.
huge. So there you go. So we have a story in Medija.
And
that's
this area is so
yeah.
ripe for adventuring that
Absolutely.
it's kind of oozing of interesting, cool adventuring. Duke Sephrin was he was the villain of my Reldevin campaign, and I just loved it. And just I used the first 3 sessions was just fighting an illusion of the guy. That was the first 3
Yeah.
sessions before they realized it was an illusion, and then started over again. So that was he sent out an illusion of himself first, and the players went wild with it. They fought that for several sessions. Then he came and told them, "Yeah, you need to level up a bit. Then I'll come and kick your butts." And then he walked away. Yeah.
Recurring villains are great.
Yep. Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. And we had a discussion on that on breathing a campaign into life a couple weeks ago on a Gabbin, and that's so important.
Yep.
It's one of the things is having reoccurring discussion, of villains and other plot lines. I'm trying to get this whole thing in here.
You look very busy today, Jay.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a tough day. A tough
Yeah, so
stream. Yep.
dragons, just so you know that my campaign is not limited there. There's some of the areas that we venture in, there's others, but it's not just a small, but it's on the western side of the map. It's just the way it is. So here's a question. What's up, Dwayne? Someone asked, what about the Sea Barons? Do they have any relation in all this, or is that something outside of the?
Whereabouts?
Is that something outside of the Great Kingdom? Because someone said, did I miss the Sea Barons? I saw that a while
That
back.
they kind of yeah. Go on.
The Sea Barons, I believe, the Sea Barons were, I think, a tier lands that I think passed into Nalix and other hands.
Okay.
I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know
one of
what they
these
were. They were
semi-
definitely part of the Great Kingdom,
Yeah.
Okay.
but
But they were not
they-
princely lands. They were not a province in full standing, so to speak. They were
Okay.
one of these kind of separate. Yeah, it was very feudal, very kind of diverse and
Okay.
legally convoluted, so to speak. I mean, you have Zeo Medigia, that was kind of a private fief of one of the highest clerics of the lands, and if you go back to Italy in the medieval times, and you get something similar, or like Italy to
Medieval
Germany
Utah.
and stuff. So it's kind of it's modeled very much on it on when it comes to
Okay.
the legal political scheming and stuff. So and the same thing with the Lindor Isles. That's another thing that was run kind of partially the same way. And a lot of these islands were like colonies, or they had various other. They didn't have full legal status, so to speak, as part of the empire, but they were clearly part of the empire.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, you've got some hilly, rocky, large islands that compromised the Sea Barons,
Yeah.
but like I said, I don't know
Okay.
how much of a political force they were. It is covered in Ibid, and I apologize.
Mhm.
No, it's okay.
My folks have never been a seagoing folk, so
No, they
Well,
they-
unlike
they-
unlike all
it's not
those
easy.
saltmarsh
Mhm.
players, my
oh
folks
yeah, they were there.
have
Yeah.
steered away from nautical adventures.
Yeah,
They've
and the
also
whole-
steered away from Spine Castle adventures.
Mhm.
I have a
the
fun
whole
story.
coastline. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was about to say when I got the Dungeon magazine with Gary's Spine Castle article, I was excited. My
Mhm.
players were in a Knurl, and I thought, haha, this is great. I'm already in Knurl. So they got called before the Count, and the Count told them his plight and asked them to go to Spine Castle and find out what happened to his agent there. And they kibitzed with each other for a couple of minutes. They said, no, we don't think that's a good idea. I think we're going to take a pass. And then they were like, hey, did we miss I think we missed a fork in that last dungeon we were in. Let's go back there. And I was like, literally, they were in the middle of talking to the Count, and they're already planning some other place they want to be. So I had terrible things happen to the to
Yeah.
their allies there because they didn't do what they should have done. But the fun of Greyhawk, you don't always have heroes. You sometimes have
Anti-heroes or neutral
anti-heroes
Yeah.
and people who want to be themselves, which is 100% good.
Yep.
You don't always have to be the lawful good person who has to throw down everything for, other people. But but it taught me a lot about investing in my NPCs as people. The fact that they just blow the count away, just
Yeah.
kiss off, dude. Doesn't sound like us. Anyway, I never let them forget that either.
So Dale, how
But,
long? So
Sorry, go.
I want to ask a campaign question. How long is it your campaign been going on in this area, and roughly, and your players, they really entrenched in they love the storylines. I'm just curious as to
I'll tell you,
some history.
the short answer, not as long as yours.
Well,
the longer answer is we all met in college back in the late 80s.
okay.
And there's still like 8 of us who play on
That's
7 to 8 of us who play on a semi-regular basis.
That's
a couple folks have moved away, but most of us have come back. And we played in a homebrew campaign that somebody ran back in first edition. And then second edition, we didn't really play. We played computer games. We played a whole bunch of other things. Third edition came out. I had started, the internet was, the web had really built out a lot, and I was looking into Greyhawk, and third edition came out, and I was like, wow, and it's based in Greyhawk. This is awesome.
Okay.
And I came in with like the player's handbook, and I'm going to run this thing. And I went out and got the books, and I ran a third edition campaign. I used Tomb of Abyssthor from Necromancer Games.
Oh, I love that one.
As
Great adventure.
the primary kind of mega dungeon that we loved. And it was wonderful. And so that was probably 2002 or 3. I think it was well before my daughter was born in 2004. And we've been playing off and on in there with me. I had one campaign that ran from, I think, 2007 or 8 to 2017. So I took people in 3.5 from level 1 to level 15, where I had a TPK, except for the druid who got away. And then they all re-rolled at level 13, and we played to level 20. And I'll tell you, 8 level 20 people is very difficult to challenge.
Yeah, a fight takes 7 hours.
Yeah, but we had some epic ones.
That's awesome.
We did a lot of the Living Greyhawk stuff included. They loved the area around Roxas in that, because there was a giant battle, and you haven't seen anything till you've got a giant battle with people dropping, as we called them, 9 bombs.
Was Roxas
they were casting 9th level spells.
Was Roxas off limits except for special events?
This was actually, I think, Triumph Castle within the area around Roxas.
Okay.
There was a siege going on there with, I don't know if it was a pit fiend, but it was some major devil, and the celestial armies were attacking it. I want to say it was a pit fiend, but it was a fantastic miniatures battle. But it was, unlike your wonderful boards, we had a big giant Chessex map with wet erase markers all over it. But it was still a blast. It was still a blast. Yeah, we had ice avalanches and all sorts of, I think the coolest thing that happened is a dragon was chasing somebody, and somebody had a wall of force appear right in front of it when it had like 4 hit points left, and it crashed into it and then went to the ground. It was wonderful.
And your guys still, your group gets together and still plays, sounds like.
We still do, right? Well, we haven't, during COVID, we've been playing a COVID campaign set in the Neural area. We're doing some old Wizards of the Coast adventures.
Oh, cool.
The Bane of the Forgotten King or something like that. And then there's like 3 that ends in Fortress of the Yuan-ti. We're doing that one right now. And we almost got wiped out last night by a green dragon, or
nice.
a bronze dragon we weren't expecting. But so we've been running there, but we've got 2 other campaigns that are set in the same shared world going that are on hiatus. We've got one that my brother is running that is in Keeland, and we've got another one that a friend of ours is running that is, I think, Savage Tide. We're down in Sasserine, and I've got a paladin of Mayaheen who she's half Ullman, and I keep saying, next session she'll drown because she's running around in full plate, and I'm asking if I can use my wooden tower shield as a boogie board to avoid drowning in my full plate, but we'll see. And yeah, Gary, I just saw your comment. Your Great Kingdom's Succession Wars, that was amazing. I loved that. I didn't like Gruntle winning. I won't say you were incorrect, but I didn't like him winning. I really
yeah, I
didn't.
haven't decided that yet in my campaign. They're gearing up for the big
You
fights.
guys said it before, Gruntle is the toughest.
He is the toughest.
He's by far the toughest. So yeah, and
But-
Duke's. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say my wars were a little more involved because the barbarian lands
Mhm.
were heavily. They took a side, and
Yeah, for hundreds of years, they were a constant pain in the ass for the Great Kingdom, and they were like regular fights. But between the Bone March and Radek, they had enough kind of space between them, and Radek made friends with at least the Frost Barbarians, right? The Kruski. So, but the other ones would still come down and raid the shores. So interesting. To talk about something that Jason Zavoda brought up earlier,
Okay.
there's some discrepancies between D&D canon and Gary's novels, but I know at one point it was discussed that after the Bone March was taken, Radek came down and took Johnsport back. I think that was in one of the Gord novels. That was news to us. I think Gary was like, wow, I never knew that. And I was like, me neither. But I think that even conflicts with Ivid. But as also been pointed out by Jason, Gary didn't give a fig for what what Carl Sargent was going to do with his campaign setting. So the fact that there's discrepancies there is not a shock. So
and that's news to it's cool. There's nothing wrong with having some discrepancies here and there. I mean, it's like, you read multiple Star Wars books or Lord of the Rings sub novels, and they're all over the place. You know what I mean? So you just don't know. So, that was in the reading 2 days ago. There you go.
To kind of to summarize,
Mhm.
the Great Kingdom is what you want to make of it. You can make it a high holy kingdom. You can, if you want, depending upon when you want to play it, you could even play it in 576 or afterward and have some sort of resistance that's trying to bring it back again, trying to make it good again.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the one thing that segregates the Great Kingdom, and why I think a lot of people don't like playing there, is it's not your generic, hey, I've got the big city and all of the big good gods have big giant cathedrals there, so any church you want to be from, you've got a base.
Mhm.
No, it's they are very much, unless it's a neutral church like Zilchus or potentially even Sternalia if you're in Medigia, or if you're a neutral Hextorian, or potentially Darren or one of the other ones. If you're not a neutral god or an evil, well, I'll say, or Hextor.
I want to ask that question too.
Then
Dale.
they don't really venerate the evil gods either, just Hextor. They don't, you're not going to, Erythnol, you'll have shrines, but there's no giant cathedrals to Erythnol, I don't believe. There might be hidden, I think Ral Astra has some hidden temples in the sewers and what have you. But nobody's got great shrines to, the Reaper or Nerul. Nerul does have a secret society that isn't talked about, and that is Midnight Darkness. There is a bunch of worshippers of Nerul who, for lack of better terms, just go around targeting, murdering people who are good. So it's just one of those things where it's like, when everybody who's good has a target on your back, you eventually become an evil nation.
Yeah.
And
But-
they go around sticking people with poison daggers that have a like black cloth on them so that you know you've been killed by midnight darkness.
Very cool. I want to ask you a philosophical Hextorian question, and that is, if you go from Ivid at that present time, what is the difference between is the lawful neutral aspect of Hextor rare or more prevalent than you would think than a lawful evil aspect? I'm just curious because, I allow that lawful neutral aspect in my game kind of as a way to allow a PC or two to take of from the Great Kingdom. What's your thoughts on that?
I go with the kind of the third edition. Gary says it was once more prevalent, and I would have to think that during at least when the knights, I always want to call them the Knights Protector, when the Knight Protectors were in business, if they were outright evil, they would have had a real problem with Heronians. But the god is in fact evil.
Yeah.
I would think that the lawful neutral aspect is certainly a lot more than the neutral evil aspect of it.
Okay.
And I go with that whole third edition. You can shift by one on the axis and still be in the wheelhouse.
Got it.
You can have lawful neutral and neutral evil worshippers and Hextor is still going to deal with you. Obviously, he would rather you were both lawful and evil.
Yeah, in my campaign, these things aren't static. Even churches and faiths and religious organizations can get subdued and get torn into turmoil and change alignments. And I have the Hextorians back in the day were probably just a battle god. I mean, he was war and serving the country and the culture, so to speak. But then it got subdued by evil forces, by infernal forces that saw that these are now one of the mightiest empire in the world, and if we can make use of it, that's perfect. So they turned them evil, and that also made that the Heronians became more good, so to speak. They were just two sides of Iridian myth and legend and stuff, and then they were turned into by outside powers, by the good powers and evil powers, by the celestial powers and by the hellish powers, and that power struggle brought down the whole Great Kingdom. That's what I have in my. And now you have Foltest is going the same way, because Foltest in my campaign, his priests and followers demand more and more rigorous. They become more and more evil, and they descend that way. So Foltest realized that the god Foltest realized that, what the heck, I'm losing all my clerics and my worshippers if I try to pertain them good. So the worshippers and the clerics actually subdued the god and made the god evil. So he's now gone from lawful neutral to lawful evil and gone that way. And Heronius and Palor has taken up the place, so to speak, of Foltest when it comes to the god, but he's Flan origin, so to speak. So that way he's kind of, so that is taken up and become big in the West. And Nyrond is now, and Relmord is now the center of future good Airdy powers, so to speak. So and after the war, Nyrond have now stepping up with the Ernst and Nyrond with because they now have the big part of Ulmor on their side, and now they are reviving the Iron League. And now you have Sevener, who's he's in that kind of difficult spot, because Nyrond and the Iron League is his biggest trading partner, and they demand and say that you can't run an evil whatever, succumb to evil corrupt bullshit down there. You need to join the good side, so to speak, and throw out that stuff and join us, and then we'll fight the Grinnell and the Death Knights, whatever will come, Hextorians and that from the north. But Sevener, he doesn't want that, because that means that he needs to be a good guy, and he personally really can't do that. But the dormant, the priest, Silcher's priest, they want to for the trade, but they
Mhm.
don't want to for political reasons. So they're now torn, and then that's when the Rel Devon and that they are kind of now seeing the chance to push Karlstrand and Sevener real hard. But if he will not join their side, they will join Nyrond and Iron League within Spa, and then take a decent chunk out of the United Kingdom of Elissa, and maybe even the Seldraton and the Principality of Elissa might go that way too, and then Sevener will just be a little thing down there. So this is kind of big politics going on in my campaign. So we'll see what happens. And Nyrond is talking about making a union with the Ernst states, and then bring in Inspa and the Almoria lands, and bring in Rel Devon,
And
because
it
if
goes
they,
big picture.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if they make that a union together and make an empire, they will be the most powerful country in the Flannies. And they're real talks. It's just who's going to marry who and who's going to control what land, and all these negotiations are going underway. And if they get the Onval and the Iron Hills and the Principality of Elissa and Neri and Sundi and all that in one empire, they will be by far the most powerful one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's serious talks about it. And Sevener, he's terrified of it, and he also realizes it's a possibility, and he doesn't know which leg to stand on, and he's caught in between. And the Carvens and the Rel Devon, they are torn in between there too, so they're kind of hedging their bets a bit, and it's big politics going on. So
Yeah, and to also to your point, with the ascendancy of the Hextorians, a lot of the Hieronius worshippers, both the lay folk and the militant folk, just packed up and went west.
They are in Shieldland and Furiuti.
Yeah, they were like,
Valuna.
that's where the battle is.
Exactly.
That's a losing fight back home.
Yeah. And that means that Valuna and Furiundi and Shieldlands are now backing Nyrond and want to have the Iron League and a strong Nyrond, because that means that they can form an alliance, and together they will be unbeatable. They will be more than half the economy of the Flannies and military strength, and that's something that IUs are now terrified of that happening, because that means that he will get a unified enemy that is twice or maybe even 3 times the economic strength and 10 times the manpower of his empire. So it's kind of, yeah, so there's a lot of, so he's now trying to put the wrench, and that's what my Shieldlands campaign is about, because he wants to concentrate there in order to cut, because that's the physical connection between the two, so to speak. So and so it's, yeah, so that's part of my big politics. Yeah, and the character, I throw the characters into this mess of big politics. Yeah.
So real quick, I always saw there's a gap, but there's no lawful neutral god of war, and that's where I ripped off. I've ripped off Forgotten Realms deity that fit perfectly. I put the Red Knight in.
Yeah, but wars are neutral. Wars are good and evil. Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
So
in Lich Greyhawk, if you've heard of that,
no.
Basically this was living Greyhawk that basically they kept writing scenarios for, but it isn't canon. They brought Stratus from the chainmail setting back into the Flannis proper, and he is described as Stern Alia's third child. He was the lawful neutral god of war, and so I like that. And I'm including that in my campaign, and I'm having a lot of the folks who were kind of, lean towards Hieronius, but it wasn't politically expedient, but didn't give a whit for Hextor. They're like, Stratus, that's my god.
Yeah. I have now that Hieronius have now partied up with the Rao and Palorians in Valuna and Furiundi, and with the elves, and because Hieronius in my campaign is an aspect, just like Hextor and Hell took over the Hell took over the Hextorians. Now we have Bahamut, and the Celestials have taken over Hieronius. So Bahamut is the power behind the Heronians, just like Hextor and
here we go
the
again.
Hell are the power behind the Hextorians. So that means that, and Bahamut has been backing the elves for hundreds of years. So now they have an alliance, and thanks to Pelor and Rao being old Flan deities, meaning now you have a connection between the Pelor Heronians and the old faith that was not there before, but due to political developments, that alliance have become part of it, so to speak. So and it's the simply in war, your enemy's enemy is your friend.
Very cool.
Lots
Hey,
of
go ahead,
great
Greg.
stuff shooting around. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dale.
No, it's just I saw a comment about your comment in here about Virtual Greyhawk Con 2. I'm going to try to get a scenario together
Awesome.
in my new area,
Mhm.
but I'm going to try, but it's
Okay.
not ready yet. But as soon as I think I'm 90% there, I'll drop
Okay.
the event in and
Yeah.
force myself to knock out the rest.
I think we're up to 35 events, and we're missing a lot of. We're missing Troller Games. We're missing Blue Boxes. We're missing all the Greyhawk Reborns. We're missing
Okay.
Algroes. We're missing a whole bunch that still haven't put in. So there's a lot. I know Oranier's going to put something in. We're missing a fair amount still, and I think we're around 51 signups right now. So we'll see those numbers pop up a little bit. But all right, so wow, what a discussion tonight! I mean, I learned
Yep.
a lot, and it's a lot in depth and so much history here, which is cool history. You know, it's great, Dale. I really appreciate you digging deep into some
Yeah,
of the
thank
stuff.
you.
You know,
Yeah, thank you for
Gary
this.
posted
Yeah.
all those maps into Cannon Fire Discord. They're all right there. If you're not a part of Cannon Fire Discord, here, let me.
You should be.
You should be. So let me hit you up with that, and also let me hit you up with the Virtual GrowdCon Discord, because there's going to be more and more going on there, and that's the Discord which is going to be used for the con. So. You know, if you're going to be signing up for events, and we're using that Discord, so there you go on both. All right. Any final thoughts on the Great Kingdom and any other discussions regarding this?
Dale, I was just going to say, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and,
Yes,
doing
awesome.
this. It was so wonderful. You're giving me a lot of cool new ideas, and I love this discussion.
Cathay, we're going to
I
try and
try.
do that. We need specialists though in areas, Cathay, and it's tough. I mean, and you know, my discussions on areas go into Gavin because it's based on my campaign, right? It's not canonized, you know. So that's why. But you know, if I have a specialist in an area who wants to talk about them, like Ernst or Nyrond, or hey, I'm all for it. We just need to get them. You know?
Actually, Cathay, doing discussions on other parts of the planets might actually be easier. What was probably mentioned before is in the box set, what we knew about the Great Kingdom was a column and a lot of stuff that was in the preamble in the timeline. That's what we knew. And then I think publication-wise, after that, Fate of Vistas had a thing on Grazis, you
Yeah.
know.
A little bit, yeah.
So not until Sargent come along and did like Marklands and Ivy Undying and just so for anyone to put down Sargent, it just gobsmacks me because he
he's passing Jason
added
Zavarda.
so much stuff.
Yeah.
You Jason. Well, no, Jason had the catalog, the whole thing. Of course, he likes it too. But no. I mean, without that, then the people who follow from Sargent, so like the Living Grove people like Gary Holian, what do they have to work with then?
No, you're absolutely correct. It was building up a lot of the detail that was not there during the Gygaxian era, which a lot of people like that way. You know, and like an open Greyhawk. I mean, I you know, and then there's Living Greyhawk where every area gets developed, and some of them in crazy ways. You know that some of them are nuts, and some of them are really good, but some of them are nuts. Like
it's like I'm not a big fan of the undeadification of the Great Kingdom.
Right.
Like there's way too many.
Good word.
You know, even Holian's a little responsible for that. He put the Death Knights in there after the fact. You know, there's no mention of Death Knights in the Undying. You know, that's all Gary.
Yeah.
God level.
Exactly. I was going to say,
I've never heard anyone complain about the Death Knight.
Exactly.
They're just too cool.
Yep. You can't complain. It's
Jason, that's awesome.
If I could do it a la carte,
Yeah,
I would keep the Death Knights, get rid of the Animus.
I agree. Well, animuses are.
I love both of them, to be honest.
I think there are
like
too many
them.
animuses, but I like them.
Too many. We have a population of a couple of million people, and there's like a couple of hundred. That can't be too problematic.
Hey, Mike, let me talk to you sometime because I have an interesting idea there. Anyway.
Oh, now you said, oh, please
Okay.
indulge
But yeah,
us.
you know, so if
Well,
you don't have a Carl Sargent,
I'll tell you guys, I've been working on a bit of fiction and potentially a campaign. And the idea is that the casket of abyssal bone is actually carved from Orcus. It is Orcus's bone. He has died. If you've read Dead Gods, you know at one point he dies, and he becomes then undead Orcus after he's brought back. In my mind, this is a cycle. He has died several times. This is why he is the god of undeath. He keeps coming back, and he may not even remember it each time. He's been around eternally. And at one point, the Earthland acquired a casket carved from the bone of Orcus, and they used it for a number of purposes. And this was stolen from them, and it was secreted to Lady Cath, who was one of the Death Knights and a priestess of Hextor, and she worked with the Hextorian Church and her own ideas to create the animuses from this. And my idea is, like any artifact, there is one way to destroy it. And since it is from the bone of Orcus, it can only be destroyed by the talisman of Orcus, which is to be hit with the wand of Orcus. And if you've read, the first edition DM's guide, the way to destroy an artifact is always something wild like that. Hit with the wand of Orcus.
Of a humble ant.
But think about this.
Yeah.
If you have the seed of all animuses coming from the casket of abyssal bone, what happens if you destroy the casket of abyssal bone? All of a sudden,
it's kind
they
of like
can all fade away, and then
Yep.
you've got a whole campaign around this because you've got folks who want to rid the realm of animuses, and then you've got somebody like
I love
Drax who doesn't want to go away.
Oh,
So-
this is
kinda
dynamite.
like a real
This is my
story
kind of
behind-
campaign story.
Unlike the Crooked Row where you just.
So
flip a
I'm
switch.
working on a bit of fiction about
That's
it.
awesome.
I've got a whole. I hate to throw the N word out there, but I'm working on this story, and it's scripted out, but I've got to fill in all the parts. Anyway, but the point is, if you don't like the undead, come up with a way to get rid of them.
Exactly.
And you feel free to steal that idea.
Ooh, I'm going
But
to
that's
steal
an
it so much.
but
I'm
that's-
going to
but
steal
that's
it
a-
for my campaign.
But that's an idea. So
thank
if you don't
you.
like
That
the
was-
undead, get rid of them.
Yep.
Um,
And if you like them, bring them back. That's
if
what I
you
done
like
with
them,
Horn
yeah.
Society, but that Carl Sargent kind of killed off. And I was like, but I took it as a challenge and brought it back again.
I just moved them.
Yep.
There's ways you can, go. Canon can be a not dangerous. Canon can really restrict you, and it's not what you want. You want to
No, but
use
it's
it.
like
You
in
want
a-
to use some of it.
Exactly. It's like in
public
James Bond
source.
movie. You have to come out with a cool way for the hero to get out of the difficult situation. So yeah.
What a great discussion tonight. So
Yeah.
when we hit up some shout outs, and then we'll do the giveaways. So Mike, what's going on with you, man?
oh, nothing going on with me. How about we talk about the Greycast, Wily Hobbit, and
Okay.
Mateus's podcast. And then we also got Warner's Grey League.
Yeah, I have that. And here I can do that shout out for the Great League. That's the one I have put in here. I just added that in somewhere. There we go. Yep, there's Great League.
So these guys are doing their homework and putting out some good material and getting people on to talk about stuff just like we are.
Yep.
And that's really keeping it going.
Orneer is trying to get to 1,000 subs on that, which is just a follower in YouTube. So just just click on it and follow it, for YouTube to get him to 1,000, so he can get a community button set up. So note that would be great. Thanks for that, Mike. So Dale, what's going on with you, man? Anything else you want to discuss? Talk about, shout out?
No, other than working on Red Falls, I've been really busy with work. We've gone down a couple of people, and I'm just horribly busy. I'm leaving for vacation Friday, and I'll be out of pocket for a week or so. I'll try to catch your streams, but it'll probably be on my phone.
Are you gonna miss the fundraiser then?
Yeah, I know. It's sad, but I'm leaving Friday
Gonna miss
morning
Venarian
for
Vord.
Georgia. And I
Yeah.
know.
Hey,
I
it's
might
all
have to. I might have to catch it on the replay, which
Yeah.
I hate because I can't type it. Everybody.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I'll go over that
Yep.
in a second. So cool, man. Well, enjoy your time off. Go
I
anywhere
will.
special?
I'm visiting my parents for the first time since the pandemic.
Okay.
I'm visiting my dad in Atlanta and my mother in. Yeah, no pig nose for multiple sessions in the Friday Night Crusades. Pig nose, my half-orc ranger. But yeah, I'm going down to visit my mother in Florida. So
Cool.
My
Yeah.
family's looking forward to the trip as well. They haven't done any traveling and they like going south. I'm a polar bear, so I hate it.
That's
The
cool.
weather. I love my family.
Yeah, understood. And thank you so very much for making this a great discussion tonight. I really appreciate
My
all the
pleasure.
hard
And
work.
And
put
I look
into
forward to giving some Red Falls goodness to folks. I want to come up with a
Wonderful.
gazetteer and then I'll build maybe some adventure stuff around it. And maybe I'll get a chance to run one for Virtual Greyhawk Hunt too.
That would be wonderful. Absolutely.
Yes,
like I said,
and Mateus reminded me I'm doing a
Yeah.
Greycast episode as well.
Awesome. Note that the deadline is not the end of the month for events. You can still put in events after the signups have begun, but the signups start August 1st. So, if you want, there's going to be a rush of people signing up for all the events that are in there now, but you can always put them in up to like September 27th. So we got plenty of time. If you want to put in something later, that is perfectly fine. And we're trying to make this, as easy as possible for everyone. So Anna, what's going on?
Oh yeah. Oh God, this is a big week for me when it comes to a lot of. First, I want to mention a Kickstarter that now has 59 more hours to go. That has my maps in it. I'm going to post a link here.
Oh,
It's Gryffindor Games that has Trials of Arcadia. That will be a hex crawl map that I'm working on. That will be in that one. So I have a deadline for that on Monday. So I'm kind of, that's why I have to cancel. One of the main reason I have to cancel my game session on Sunday. So I'm so sorry. There will be no Shieldlands campaign this Sunday. So we'll see if we play next Sunday or in 2 weeks. So that is coming. And then I posted on my Patreon today a new line of maps that was kind of it's still a secret. I'm going to publish it on and talk about it officially on the Fantasy Mapping Show on Friday. So but it will be and it was just a thought experiment but Carlos kind of nailed it, so now it will be official. So I'm going to say there will be a new line of Greyhawk maps coming in the future, and I will talk a little more about it and show them on Friday. So and
let me
I got
throw
a
that
lot
up
of good so that's coming Friday. And so that's another thing coming, so to speak. And then I have my Shieldland maps and stuff. I got so good feedback on the first batch, so I'm working hard on them too to get and there is more heraldry and more information and stuff coming for my Shieldland campaign with backstories and coming there too. That and don't think that I'm sitting working on this week. No, a lot of things that I work on that comes on my Patreon is stuff I worked on months ago, and then I kind of because I sometimes when I don't have too much to do and a lot of inspiration, I kind of back up things. So I have things so I can have something every week or so to back up, so to speak. So that's the weird thing in my job. When everybody says, "Oh, you must be busy talking about this," then you worked on it 9 months ago, and then you're working on some new projects. So it's sometimes it's a little bit weird when you're working on something and you have to talk about something else, and sometimes you work and talk about things at the same time. So it's a little bit weird that way. But so the those maps are gearing up and looking good. And then we have, I posted another thing for my patrons. This is going to be public for everybody in a month or so, and posted on the polar ice cover of Worth. So there is several blog posts coming to my Patreon on Worth, on the polar maps, and there will be what would Earth look like in an ice age, and what will it look like if you have a hot age, so to speak. So I want to give those two options so people can say that I want hot Earth or I want cold Earth, and kind of play with those two and see what that would happen with the coastlines and climate and stuff like that. And so that is well underway, and that is coming. So there will be something every week for the foreseeable future until fall comes. And now I can say that one of the reasons I did doing this polar ice cover and the climate and Worth is because I want to redo the Flanies background map to actually match Worth and its climate better. So there will be a polar ice cover will be updated and stuff like that on the new Atlas and the new Flanies map this fall. And there will be a new winter version. There will be seasons coming too. I had a season version of it before. I'm going to update those for this fall. And so there will be proper season that are much more. The other one was just to look good, so to speak. There was not much research to it. Now I've done my research and I have way more more to stand on, so to speak, when I'm doing them. So there will be a revised versions coming out.
As a spiritual polar bear, I appreciate the ice maps.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they were kind of cool. The colors were a little bit backwards, but I actually took a U.S. Navy from 1946 had a map. So I took the inspiration from how they did it, but I should kind of do the opposite. And the ice shouldn't be blue, the ocean should be blue. But so I'm going to do a test and reverse the colors and see if that will be better, so to speak. But these things are never really good the first version. They need 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 versions sometimes to really be good, because it's so good when I post something. I get like my and then we putting it out, and when all you guys that are way more experts on all the other stuff than me can look at it and tell me what's wrong, what's good, and what works and what could be better, that's how they get really good. You're my quality assurance team, and you're doing a really, really good job at helping me improve the maps and making them work real well, so to speak. So those are the stuff, except from a lot of the stuff that Jay is going to talk to that I'm slightly involved in too.
Slightly.
Yeah.
We got a lot. All right. So yes, tomorrow night is the big Stuck in the Ruins with You night. So there you go. Advanced Excursion. Of course, I pulled it. Strainkeep Castle. They're inside. You've probably seen some of the pictures I posted. And they set off a trap because if anyone watched, Walt was falling asleep at the table, didn't do any detecting undead. They did no detecting of traps, and they opened the door, and all these doors opened, and undead came out from everywhere, and now they're overrun. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. I can't wait, and that's tomorrow night's adventure. Between that, tomorrow night, and then Saturday, I got to get the freaking gargoyles set up. Oh my God, what a bad adventure. Oh my God, I've been reading that. I'm like, how am I going to do this in 4 hours? This is just, so I'm going to wing it. Oh my! So that's Thursday. Friday night we got the Fantasy Mapping Show with Anna and Alyssa Faden and Ted Uram, and we're going to be talking dungeon maps. That'll be really cool. Can't wait for that. And that's day 3. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell that I found out with the very first published dungeon map ever, the oldest in published D&D and role-playing game history. I found out which one that is, and it will be on the show. So yeah.
Awesome. That's very cool. And if you don't know, Luke Gygax is now in on the game Saturday night. So I got
awesome.
Luke, Eric Mona, James Jacobs, Jason Bowman, Anna, Stella Luna, and Chuck. Okay. Wow. And it sounds like the ever mysterious Tim will be here to help me with the bad guys, but you just wait. You'll be like, you made that up, and I'll be like, no, it's in the adventure. I guarantee you'll say that a couple times on Saturday night. This is going to be fun. It's a bad adventure, and we're going to make the best of it and just have a good time with this. And I got some offers for the viewers for some things to happen too. We'll see how much money we can raise. Blue Box has 2 streams previous to us. You know, and then there'll be like an hour crossover between Blue Box's game finishing up and us starting. So, and then, you know, we're starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, running until we're done. And let's see how much money we can raise. It will be our second one for the year. And I'm really excited with this crew that we have for this. And that will be Saturday night. That's stream number 4. Stream number 5 will be the Women of D&D's Gabbin', DM Roundtable number 8. Okay, and that's the wrong button. Of course, I hit the next week. Yeah, so I got Anna, I got Ann Sidwee from Nightheart Gaming. I got DM Mandy from Praetors Rejects. I got Kayla, Time Lord's wife, and we got a new person in the community, Nikki Nerds Out, and she's cool. And we're gonna have a women's discussion on the DMing and issues, and you know, maybe some pitfalls and things like that, and have a nice discussion. It'll be my 8th DM's roundtable, and that'll finish out the 5 straight streams in 5 nights. But the next 2 Gabbins are set after that. Okay, the Gabbin 156 is the specialty pre-show the Sunday after with Eric Boyd, the grandfather of the specialty priest, and Dennis Maldon Tetro on that. I can't wait for that show too. So that will be awesome.
Yep.
And that'll be on Sunday, July 25th. And now some of you may not know who this person is. This is a big deal. I got another kind of crafting show coming up, the Gabbin afterwards. I have actually a figure sculptor coming on, a big name for Reaper and the other Dark Sword. Christine Van Patten herself, along with Mike Disney and Bill the Master Crafter. We're going to call it Sculptor, Painter, and Crafter. It's a big deal to have.
Good. More crafting shows.
Yes, and we're going to. Yes, Christine Van Patten will be on Gabbin in 3 weeks, so that will be a blast. And she's going to give us what it takes to create figures, which I know a lot of you want to know. I mean, I want to know because I want my own custom figures. Yeah, Christine's terrific, so it's going to be a great discussion. That is in 3 weeks. A week from Thursday, it's another special show. Mike Disney and Taryn and Kayla and some other special guests. We're going to continue the Scarn game that we had a couple weeks ago. We're going to continue that on a Thursday. Lots going on. So please, everyone, I'll see you tomorrow night. Let's do the giveaways, and then we'll figure someone to raid into. All right, so last call. Anyone wants to sign up? Hey, good to see you, Mike Saxton. Mike's going to win because he just, always got these people who just sign up last second, and they usually win. It's usually Casey. Or you, Dale. You do that.
I nailed it. I nailed it the other night.
Yay!
Got my dice set.
All right, here we go. Let me get to this, and it's been a wonderful chat tonight. Very fantastic chat. All right, let me go giveaways. Here we go. Closing this out. All right, there's 2 winners. First one will win $25 gift certificate. The second one will win this reprint for World of Greyhawk glossography. Winner. Von Molku, $25. There you go.
It's got a history of winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including jousts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Von Molku, great. Congrats, man. I'll get you that CSL Entertainment 25.
Congratulations.
Second winner. Lomas Lightfoot. Nice.
Right on.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to see someone new.
Yeah.
Lomas, I think,
Awesome.
yes. Lomas is an old schooler, I know, and congrats there. Yep. Lomas, I may have your address. If I don't, just send me name and address in Whisper here. The post office database is getting big, but sometimes, it erases things. All right. I'm going to raid. Who am I going to raid into tonight? I'm going to go to, because I imagine Troll Lord's going to finish up any minute now. So I think I'm going to hit up Guild Superior again. They got 8 people on, so let's make that 7 to 8 times bigger. How's that sound? Get them in someone good. And then I'll see you all tomorrow night. Oh, tomorrow night is Gamescape 3D, some STL giveaways. May throw in a Reaper gift certificate there as well. Probably will. And then we're going to do a lot of giveaways during the fundraiser. I'm going to give away some Titan dice and some other things, and in addition to all the rankings. Oh, how could I forget the 2 biggest gifts for the fundraiser? 2 copies of Gargoyle, courtesy of Cannibal, all signed. Are you ready? Gargoyle signed by Eric Mona, James Jacobs, Jason Bullman, and Luke Gygax.
Wow.
All right? Who's playing in it? They're the two biggest ones, and it's going to go in order of giveaway dollars. Okay, so
Awesome.
sound cool? All right.
The
Well,
most
we'll talk-
valuable copies of Gargoyle ever.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And you know, I was going to sign it too, but being the DM, but who wants my signature? You know, you can get my signature on Hools. All right, we'll see you all. Let's raid into them and
Yeah.
call it a night. Thank you all for a wonderful, wonderful stream. See you tomorrow night for a cool game, and then see you for Friday night for the Fantasy Mapping Show. Have a good one.
Thanks all. Bye. Had fun.
All right, raid setting up. Thanks, Lomas, for sending me that. Raid. Guild Superior has put in their game for Grail Con, so you can see it in events. Siege of Westkeep, I believe it is, which is kind of cool. Look at that. All right, that's almost 8 times. So thank you very much. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll see you tomorrow night. 63. It's almost exactly 8 times. Yeah, make sure that land works. And they're doing Salt Marsh too. That's good. Awesome show, guys. Awesome show, Dale. Thank you so very much.
My
Oh,
pleasure.
yeah, thank you, Dan. It was so wonderful to have a discussion. Great kingdom with you.